Are we live? Thumbs up. Jay, look at that thumbs up.
All right.
We are live.
All right.
Episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. And our first episode just aired for real yesterday, which is super cool. I'm with Counselor Kelly.
Hey.
I'm Thomas. We have a special guest today. Kelly, you can introduce because that's what you do.
This is Maria.
Hello.
Say hi.
You got to say it fancy.
Hi.
Maria.
Maria.
It's a good
Just
name.
don't sing it. That's all I ask.
Well, as soon as you said that, my ODD was like, I'm singing it.
It's like
Trust me,
it's
I
a
have
whole
a name
thing.
that everybody kind of knows, and it's always the same question, so I get it. It's the same stuff. Kelly, how was your week? Hard or medium?
Busy. It was hard. I had a couple.
Hard week?
Yeah, I had a couple crisis sessions this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a caseload.
At home or work?
No, at work. At work. My full-time job was the same, but
It was
my private practice, I have a caseload, and 2 of my clients requested, like, can we meet right now?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Spring is hard. Like,
Spring is my favorite time.
spring is hard for a lot
Why?
of people. Well, for kids.
You got to go outside? Because I have to go
Yeah, I
outside.
have to go outside.
What, it's not fucking snowing anymore?
No.
It's so hard.
So I feel like
What do I do with this shovel?
New Year's resolutions
Oh,
happen
God.
in January.
Is that a thing?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is. So there's like this first wave of New Year, New Me.
Oh, yeah.
Then spring hits and everybody's like seasonal depression kind of lifts and they're like, and now what? And they kind of reevaluate. So I feel like there's a spring shift also where
Oh,
people are like,
Spring resolutions?
kind of that their mood lifts.
Things
In
get heavier, though.
Ohio,
Yeah.
their mood lifts and they're like, let me reflect. And that often
Yeah.
causes issues.
And plus, they want to buddy up to somebody for summer, right?
Yeah. Well, they want people. Everybody
Yeah.
wants connections.
Yeah.
I guess I did. I stopped drinking soda, pop, whatever you guys want to call it here. I stopped drinking that the first of the year. I haven't had one. And I grabbed my daughter's drink, and I was like, hey, is this my tea? And I got unsweetened tea. And she's like, yeah. And I took one sip of pop. And I was like, you just ruined my whole year. And she's like,
How dramatic.
yeah. So I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
You know, like, does that ruin your sobriety if you go and drink, like, the wrong thing? Not really. Come on.
You'd have to call your sponsor.
I would call bullshit.
You'd have to like
If
weigh
you
that out.
accidentally took a drink of something and you were like sober for 13 years, like, give me all those chips back. No, you're
Yep,
done.
you're good. You're
Start
good.
over.
But yeah,
That
so for
sucks.
adults, that's what they do. Right now for kids, it's fourth quarter,
Homecoming or prom.
prom,
Yeah, my daughter's going to junior
map
prom.
testing, ACTs, like all of these things. Like, so anybody in high school, if they didn't do well last quarter, like this quarter matters or else they have to do credit recovery.
Okay.
They might not graduate.
Yeah. It's all catching
a lot
up
of
to 'em.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind
It's
of
a
like
lot.
having to
It's
put
a
on
lot
a
of pressure.
bikini.
Yeah.
Having to put on those shorts when it's 81 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
You-
So
you realized you weren't as strong in January and February as you'd prefer to be.
Different person.
Eating
Yeah.
disorders kind of skyrocket in spring.
Really?
Well, yes.
Oh,
Because they have to put shorts on.
Oh, that's
They have
what I
to put
just said. I don't
shorts
know
on.
why.
Right,
I was
yeah.
like, what? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
'cause I was
I
gonna
just
say a lot
said
of
it.
those resolutions probably had to do with getting ready for this summer season.
Beach body. right?
Yeah.
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 So my week was kind of hard.
Hot girl summer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
good
guess.
luck.
How was your week, Thomas?
My week is hard.
Well, why was your week hard?
Clients, there's some heavy stuff this week with some clients, but also getting the podcast on all the formats, which you guys can go find us on YouTube, Instagram, but it's streaming on Spotify, all this normal streaming stuff. Like, it's on Amazon. You can watch the video on YouTube. So you have to like and subscribe, please. Like and subscribe. I guess that's a big deal. Mike was yelling at me earlier. I'm not really good at this promotion shit, but I'm trying to get better at it. But
The people
I got some
will
good
follow.
responses. Did you
Yeah.
get good responses?
I did. Maria watched.
I would
Maria
say
watched
good
it.
response. Yeah, I
It
thought
was?
great.
You showed
Yeah.
up. You
Yeah.
know, you could have been
I
like,
was ready to
nah.
go.
She was like, first
I don't
episode
know about
was
this.
solid. Let me be on the next one.
So it's been getting better, I feel like, and it's a work in progress. So we're getting through it, but I'm happy to see it. It's like, your kid walking. It's like I've put out lots of records. It's different. It's just a different thing. It is. It's so because I've never done this before. So the records I've been doing since I was 20 years old. So that's normal. This one's a little more. Just a little more, and I don't know. It's all kind of. I won't say it's all on my shoulders, but it's kind of all on my shoulders.
Well,
It's my baby.
A record is about you, right?
Yeah.
And the response doesn't matter, but this is about others.
It
We're
is.
We're trying to help,
Yeah,
and
so
trying
it's-
to make a difference,
and being
that
conscious.
that hits
Yeah,
a little different.
Yeah, being conscious of what we're saying, and my own personal life, or how this affects my own personal life as well, because it definitely.
Could.
Well, it will.
Well, yeah.
But in the same breath, I'm not trying to necessarily hold anything back, but I'm trying to be very thoughtful, like I am. I try to be, how I speak and what I speak
Intentional,
about.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's interesting for sure, but I'm happy. So the week was reasonable. Like you said, people are in a good mood. People are driving like fucking psychos. So I love it.
That's true. Oh my God. Can we talk about motorcycles for a second?
I haven't rode mine yet. I did clean it.
So one
I
of
put air in
my
tires.
biggest, so I was like bitching this
Oh,
week
no.
because I'm driving up 77 to work,
Yeah.
Stark County to Summit County, right?
Yeah, don't give too much information.
I know, but
Exact
I'm driving.
route. You can follow her.
I'm driving, and this lane is merging. We have this much space, and this fucking motorcycle comes flying around me, and then goes to the middle and zigzags through. And I'm on the phone, on my car phone, but I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, listen.
I probably scared some people.
I understand. I said those stickers that say like, look twice, motorcycles,
Yes.
whatever.
They're
I'm
everywhere.
like, I feel the need to be like
Like
look,
flying monkeys.
right.
They're everywhere.
Motorcycles. I do not want trauma when
Right.
you're an asshole and you cut me off and I hit you. Like, I don't
Do you
want
want
to
to
see
hear a
you.
crazy story?
I don't want to see you splattered on the
yeah.
highway. I don't want to nick you. I don't want the like.
I don't want that guilt.
I don't want that. I'm
Yeah.
going to run you over.
So I'm gonna tell you a crazy story.
Please do, because I don't want.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole. I often.
So I wrecked my motorcycle, one of my motorcycles last year. I barely missed a guardrail. I went off the highway on a 2-lane, 55-mile-an-hour road. My front wheel axle nut came off.
Oh my
It was nuts.
goodness.
Yeah, it was
Right, yeah.
crazy. I went down in a ravine. I missed a big steel culvert in a tree because I'm the luckiest son of a bitch in the world, many times over in my life. And I wake up, like flip up, and I'm like, I hear beep, like in the movies. It's real. And I'm stand up, and I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? Like, can I feel my toes? Can I feel my hands? And my beautiful chopper that I just finished is fucked. And I'm just like, okay, cool. This is it. And this lady pulls up. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need to call my wife. You know what I mean? Because I was going to meet her,
evaluate,
And so this other guy pulled down. He ran down. He's like, buddy, are you okay? And I'm like, I think so. I go, I had to turn my bike off, and it was a fucking wreck. And I was like, I just want to get my bike up to the road. I mean, I'm down in a ravine. I went to the cattails. My buddy says I'm the fastest cattail racer ever now. I beat everybody.
There you go.
So this guy, when he's
Feels
talking
good.
to me, we get these guys stop. So many people stopped and helped me. It was crazy. 4 guys helped me drag it up the ravine. And like another guy came with an empty trailer. He's like, you look like you need a trailer. I was like, are you serious? Like, people were so nice. The cop pulled up. He's like, looks like you're missing something. I'm like, no, I ride around without my front tire all the time, just doing wheelies, bud. So the crazy thing is, the guy who first stopped stayed with me because I'm going to stay with you this whole time. I had a off-duty paramedic stop, try to cut my britches off. That's pants for people up here.
He's from Appalachia.
Yeah, so he's like, how, he goes, what's hurting? I'm like, down here. And he's like, how particular are you to your pants? I said, buddy, you ain't cut my pants off.
I'm sweet. You're walking.
Right.
Like, I'm good.
Right.
Right.
So the guy that was talking to me goes, my dad hit a guy on a motorcycle when I was young, and it ruined our family. And I was like, what if that guy would have fucking hit me?
Right.
What if he would have ran me over? Like, his family would have been
That's
like
what
doubled
I'm
down.
saying, right?
And
Like,
I thought about
don't-
that. Like, in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I would have just ruined his family. I mean, mine too.
I know. But like I see
Yeah.
people
They get a little reckless, man.
weaving. They don't have helmets on. They don't have leather on. They don't
They
have
might have
boots
leather
on.
underwear on.
But like they're shirtless,
Yeah.
helmetless,
Live free.
flying around people.
Ride
and
or
I'm
die.
like, listen, if I
Ride
clip
and
you,
die.
that's on me. That's on
Yeah,
me.
it's scary.
Yeah.
I've been in 29 states on a motorcycle.
I want one, to be honest. But
You'll
like
be doing,
I
she'll be doing
don't.
wheelies on the way to work.
No, I want like a super old like Honda, like an
got you.
old school, right? Like that's what I want. I want it to be teal, but like anyway,
She's already got it mapped out.
Right, I do.
I want fringe
I'm
hanging
going
from the
to-
thing.
I am going to rebuild a Bronco
I like it. Yeah.
and an
Okay.
old motorcycle. Those
into
are like
all
my
that.
retirement plans.
Okay,
But
love
I have all.
in the meantime, when a crotch rocket cuts me off and then
You know that's a
zip,
derogatory term. It's a sport bike. It's the dead stare.
I can't even.
Sport bike. Say it. with me.
Derogatory? That's
is.
a strong word.
That is
a
Please
strong word.
Explain
How?
that
Yeah, what's
to me.
the
Because
history
Like,
behind that?
it's insinuating, like, even just think of the name of it. Like, they're all crotch rockets, technically. They all go over 100 miles an hour. Like, what considers a rocket on between your legs? So when
people
I've had
zip
sport
around
bikes,
me, that's
I've had sport bikes, I've had Harleys, I've had cafes, and people are like, oh, you got a damn crotch rocket. I was like, I go that fast on my Harley too. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like sport
all
bike.
right. When
Sport bike.
sport bikes cut me
Just
off.
feels much better.
Listen,
it does. It feels better. Because
if
when
you
people would say it
tell
to me,
me-
it
if
was
you
a
say
real,
that,
it was a
right,
real
yeah.
like
Crotch
so,
rocket.
All right, all
It
right.
is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds like something you would market to a 40-some-year-old divorcee.
I graduated in 2005 when crotch rocket
I know.
They were.
was the
I've
term.
never.
like that
to be
was
fair,
the term.
I've never heard
right.
the term sport bike. Is that
Sport bike.
Yeah.
That's what it really
yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when a sport bike cuts me off and then weaves in and out of traffic, I just want to flick them off and like create
You
a new
can.
bumper sticker that's like
Motorcycles ran over everywhere. Look out for motorcycles.
right. Yeah, watch out for
Watch out for
motorcycles because
cars.
they don't watch out for you.
They go so fast.
I could, huh?
They go so fast.
They think they're the only ones on the road.
well,
kinda.
we can do things that cars can't do.
Says the law. I guess that's my frustration is that Ohio
Yeah.
just relatively recently
Can you split lanes yet?
you can they're allowed I don't know what that they're allowed to go down the median like
No.
on the like double like the
Double- oh, you
dotted
mean-
yellow
yeah.
like
you mean
in
that's
between
splitting
lanes.
the lane. Yeah.
They are allowed now in
Oh,
Ohio.
cool.
That sounds very dangerous.
It is.
But-
It's been going on everywhere else. It's fine.
I know. Well, we just
Cars are dangerous. I mean,
we
everybody-
They are.
I
They are
feel
very
like in
dangerous.
Ohio we were like, you know what?
Fuck it. We have the
Why
largest.
not?
Do you know we have one of the largest motorcycle per capita in the United States?
Really? I did not know that.
We also have the largest amount of
That's
hot rods.
That's because
Hmm.
Ohio could have decent riding weather 75%
So you
of the
take
time.
advantage
Like
of it.
I mean
Yeah.
like right.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I like it.
As long
All
as
right,
it's,
we
all
really
right,
got
all
off
right,
topic.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So anyway, when motorcycles were designed in 1865,
I was like, listen, can we talk about motorcycles? Because that goes along with
you know what though?
spring.
Right.
People are always
Okay.
asking me. They ask me like, "Why you haven't got your bike out yet?" I'm like, "I'm waiting for the potholes to be filled."
Well, I was just
When?
like, how is that not a thing on a motorcycle?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
When I tell you how many rims I've had to replace,
Oh my god.
Those are from curbs. Come on, now. It's okay.
usually,
All right.
okay, all right, sorry. We could keep going.
So this is your weather report, your
Right,
traffic
traffic.
report.
What
Maria.
to avoid. Yes.
So Kelly gave me a little bit of background on you, and you have an interesting story.
I do.
So let's
do.
hear. Let's hear. Do you want her to introduce your story? Or do you would like to say your own story? Because I guess everybody likes to say their own.
No, give your
I mean,
background
the
and
short,
your life
version.
resume.
Yeah.
Whatever you
everything.
feel comfortable
Sure,
sharing.
sure.
So do you remember seeing the light when you came out, or do you?
Yes.
Through a tunnel, right?
and several years ago. No, so I have had a very eclectic upbringing
I like that word.
and childhood, which
Very
has
positive word.
thank you, which has afforded me a very unique perspective in life overall. I've been very fortunate to have met and had close relations with people from a lot of different backgrounds and walks of life, whether it be, ethnicity, specifically socioeconomic background, though, which I think is one that's really relevant in our own society. So it's really cool to be able to say, like, we are all human and want the same things regardless of what we have in the bank account.
Right, but it definitely plays
Yes.
a huge
huge role. Huge
in-
role.
because growing up that way as well, both sides of it, it's very interesting.
Yes. And there's a lot of misunderstandings.
That was very kind.
Misconceptions. Yes.
I like that.
That's
People
a-
don't kind of get it.
Yes.
No, they don't get
Yes.
it mostly
No,
at all.
they don't.
No.
And I think it's just because most people don't spend a whole lot of time trying to
Well,
understand
they're not
it.
around it. Let's be
They're
honest.
not. They're not.
I don't understand
And-
rhinoceroses either.
Yeah,
because
and we
I'm
don't.
not around them.
Well, we live in the age of the individual, right? So we
Yeah.
don't try to like go outside of ourselves, and
we're busy.
and we are. Capitalism and all that, and that could be a whole episode in itself, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so both my parents were mentally ill. My father more so than my mother. So that played a lot into my childhood and upbringing. Religion was like a very
So,
weird
Not to get
part
too
of it.
crazy into
Yeah.
your business, but is that your biological parents? or
Yes,
your
so my
adoptive
biological
Okay,
parents.
So, I'm
So,
just, so we know.
yes, bio, and they were in an interracial relationship.
Okay.
So that came with a lot. Both sides of the family, they were kind of like the black sheep from both sides.
I'd imagine.
So
It
yes.
wasn't very acceptable back then.
Yes.
Not that it was that long ago.
No, and both like my father's parents specifically were very active in the 60s. My grandfather knew Malcolm X.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So he would sit his sons down and say, "Don't ever marry a white woman," like almost on a daily basis. And I remember my dad telling me these
He's like,
stories
so
as
guess
a
what I
child.
did the first chance
Right.
I fucking had. You know
Out
what I
the
told my
gate.
kids? I told my kids, if I catch you eating vegetables, I will whip your ass. If you eat any vegetables, if you get straight A's,
That's
I'm going to
it.
beat you.
That's it. So yeah, and then
That is the like right there. That's proof. Like this guy is a social doing shit, super educated, I'd imagine, and he's like, listen.
also mentally ill though and undiagnosed. So
Well,
which comes
I
with
mean,
its own.
hey, most
you know.
brilliant people are.
That is
Just saying.
very true.
You know?
That's a good. My dad was a genius. At my grandmother's funeral, because my dad had 11 siblings, huge family.
Yeah.
And he was the first to pass out of everyone in his immediate family. Both of his parents outlived him and all of his other siblings. And so my grandmother ended up passing a few years later. At her funeral, my uncle came up to me and he's like, because death in the family brings up previous death. So it made him think about my dad. And a lot of his siblings had, I would assume, a lot of guilt because they shunned him because of his mental illness.
They couldn't handle him.
Yes.
But
And
there's
then
11
after he
kids.
passed.
They're probably just worried about getting a bath and
Right,
some food.
right. Well, even because a lot of them are pretty well off,
Right.
prominent members of the community, but we'll get into that because then when I got older, I have siblings that are mentally ill, so it was really interesting becoming an adult and understanding the other side of that, where I kind of blamed my aunts and uncles or resented them
understood it?
growing up for not stepping in and stepping up and
There's a
intervening.
biological component.
Yes.
Biopsychosocial.
Yes.
Like,
yes. And generational for
Right,
sure
yeah,
with them.
sure.
So that, played a role into it. My mom's mental illness was very manageable. But she is an enabler in every sense of the word. I absolutely love my mother. She's come a long way with that, but was very much so then. So let my dad make a lot of decisions for our family when he wasn't in the right mental space to be doing so. Right. We moved a lot. I've been to 12 different schools from second grade, which is when I started school, to senior year, in 2 different states and several different counties, and
You're gypsy.
yeah, all over the
You
place.
either worked for a carnival or
But then it gives you certain skills. Like I'm very adaptable.
yeah.
Like
you look at it in a
resilient.
positive
yes,
light.
very resilient. Which the word resilience. When you're resilient for a really long time, you don't want to have to be anymore. Also,
But
you
it
It's like
know?
when your trauma made you stronger.
Yes,
Like that you're
yes.
like, and
I'm
also
so
F
strong,
you,
but
right?
it's
right.
very exhausting to have
Right.
to be strong all the time.
Yes.
But it seems like it suits you.
It has, and I love who I am. I would say even more so after the closer I got to 30, the more comfortable I got in my skin.
Yeah.
Really weird
30 is
thing.
a beautiful age.
Yes.
Oh, your 20s are a big
Brutal.
deal. I
They're-
feel like
yeah.
we talked about that
In the first
recently.
episode, I think you did a little
right,
bit touch on it.
Your 20s
Yes.
are a big deal.
Yes, you're growing up, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have all
You're
this
on your own and
responsibility.
like go do
and
it
no one,
for
and then
a decade.
and no one
Right.
told me anything. I came from trauma and chaos, and so I left my parents. They lost custody. I was around 11. Lived with my older sister because I have 2 older siblings that are 15 and 20 years older than me.
Wow.
So my mom had her first at 17 and her last at 40. Yes.
Big gap.
Yes.
That's,
Big gap.
I mean,
Huge.
that's a lot.
Yeah. So we stayed with my older sister, but she has her own thing and toxic relationship there, and some abuse and everything. So it wasn't a good situation. So we ended up leaving there and went with another family member.
When you say we, who is we?
My siblings. Sorry. So I have 2 younger siblings
Oh, okay.
that came along
So the
with
last
this on
3,
this journey.
basically?
Yes, the last 3.
Okay.
So I have 2 older from my mother's
The end
first
of the
marriage,
trilogy.
and then I am the oldest of my father and my mother's children, and then I have 2 younger siblings. And so we went with another family member, and that was a whole situation. She actually turned out, so this woman that we went with after my older sister is my cousin's mother on my dad's side, but her and my uncle were never married.
Okay.
But she would, come around when we were growing up in that. She turned out to be more unhinged than even the people that had lifelong diagnosed. Like literally when I was 15, for example, she went like 4 months without speaking to me because I'd gotten
In
in
the
trouble
same
for
home.
something. Yes. And this is my guardian.
Yeah,
Like
so-
this is
yeah,
the person that has custody of me, right?
4 months?
Literally.
You're telling me I don't have to talk to my kid?
No, you should. You
Not-
should not do that.
Dude,
So just very
my kid's like, yes.
This is not validation, Thomas.
Damn it.
So then I was like, I can't do this. And I ended up in a foster home in Jackson. So that was a culture shock, right? I went from Canton City schools.
Yeah.
As a
To,
multiracial
yes.
high schooler
Yes.
in foster care.
Yes. And then I go to Jackson in one of the only black families in the community.
Was your foster home?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And so that was a very interesting experience. I went from, we experienced homelessness before, so I've literally slept on cots in, whatever church or gymnasium they
Shelter or
have set
something,
up.
right,
You
yeah.
know, the bus picks you up, you go, you get dropped off. Stood in line at soup kitchens. You know what I mean? Like I've lived this life
Jackson.
before. To Jackson, to staying in mansions, and you know what I mean, and breaking bread with people that are actual millionaires.
Right, correct.
Yes. And now I have friends that have literally never met anyone like me,
Right.
never spoken to anyone like me, never heard these stories, and had a lot of preconceived notions about what people that come from my background
Stories.
would be like.
Yeah.
And I blow a lot of people's
Well,
minds
if you
because they don't
don't know.
expect me to
Be, a
be
whole
who I
human.
am.
Right,
Yes.
yes, right.
Yes.
Like a human with
and
feelings and
you know,
thoughts. And right,
yes, be able to articulate
yeah.
myself.
You're
That's
intelligent.
a big one for
Yeah.
well-spoken black individuals. They hear it all the time. I heard it my whole life. You talk very white or you talk very proper.
Look,
It's like
I went to a very there was more Asian kids at my school than white kids at my high school. It was predominantly black and Asian. So like,
Other side of it.
Well, it was just odd because
Yeah.
I was always like, what do you mean they speak white? Like what is
what does
like
that mean?
It's a
you
thing that
can't
people
win.
say.
Yes,
it's
it
like you
is.
can't win.
No.
Like, whoa, you're trying to do better. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, stop.
And it's a lack of education, to be honest with
a
you.
power thing.
It's well, racists are just as much victims to racism as the people that are oppressed by it.
Intergenerational.
Yes,
It-
we don't like to talk about that side of it, but it's subconscious. Most of it is subconscious.
There's an
modeled
inner-
for them,
And-
handed down.
Yes, and
they
his-
don't know
they,
better.
They don't.
Right.
They don't. And we don't know our history. You go to school as a black student, you're taught slavery.
Yes.
Your history as a black individual
Yes.
on this earth started with American slavery. And
And
then
now
there's
you're
like
free.
virtually nothing. They freed you, right? The Civil War.
Ish.
Ta-da!
And then we
Ish.
skip to a little bit about the civil rights. You learn about 3 prominent leaders,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like everything was fine after
Barack
that. And
Obama.
it's like, dude, are you
Right,
kidding
and then you watch
me?
the news and you're like, people seem pissed.
Yeah, I don't understand. Or
right.
then you become an adult, and I love history, right? Like I just naturally
Yeah.
gobble that up. And when I started to learn about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was the
Shit's
America that like. This is what they taught me for 12 years in school, the same wars over and over again, the same people over and over again. You learn about the moon landing, but you don't learn about the group of black women that it literally would not have been possible without. One of the most
Right.
brilliant minds in the 1960s at NASA was a black woman.
Right.
And a movie taught me that. And then
Not-
I go
not
and do my
school.
own research after watching it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and it's just that dualism that could happen when you're teaching history in school. Like, why do kids know the name Neil Armstrong, but not, you know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these
Because
African
they
American
only
names
had
that
3 news
contributed.
channels back then.
Well, that
I mean, honestly, they
Well,
had 3
also-
news channels, and literally not like today where you have information at every you know,
right.
Yeah.
and it,
Right.
I mean, I obviously grew up hearing the same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure it was a culture shock.
Yes.
I went from
absolutely.
Appalachia to
And that would
like
be
downtown, you know.
yes.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
a different, I was like, okay.
I mean, Appalachia, that's people I think don't even realize how different that area
But
is
when you said
compared.
that-
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't
There
think
were
that,
Asians down there?
yeah,
No,
I'm
that's
surprised
up
by
here.
Okay.
No, we moved up here.
What high
I
school
feel
is
like
that?
that was-
No, so I moved
That's
up
not
here.
Appalachia.
I moved up here in second grade, and every summer I went back to Appalachia and spent all summer, and then I'd come back up here right when school started. So I'm like hybrid. But one thing I will say, growing up in downtown, like I live 2 blocks from downtown, so it's as inner city as you could possibly get. Hood people and Appalachian people are the same people.
They have a lot in common. Yes.
It's the same.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Survival.
People
Yes.
like
they're
they don't
they got
understand it,
grit.
Yes.
Yeah.
but they don't understand like they're what they enjoy. They all drink and smoke a little.
They
too
love to
much.
kick it.
Yeah, they're setting sexualize
Listen
their
to
kids at a
music.
very young age. Like people in Hudson aren't sexualizing their children at a young age.
Not as
Not
openly.
not like that. But because,
We'll put it that way.
But what I'm saying is they
But yeah, I
don't.
see what you
They
mean.
don't
Their
like.
kids
They're
are in
not
pageants.
slow dancing
Yes.
on their
Yeah.
like. You're not watching adults slow dance drinking too much wine or liquor or whatever you're drinking and smoking. It's a different like. It's very similar, and they don't understand like poor people. It's just poor people.
It's poverty. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with your color. It has not. It is the same.
SES.
They all
It's
kind
the
of
same.
have too
Like,
many
right,
kids.
Yes.
They
Yes.
have a lot of kids.
Yes.
They know how to get over on the government
Yes.
pretty well. They know how to work the system.
Wealthy people know how to get over on the government
Oh.
pretty well too.
Okay, do you want to hear what I always tell people? I don't trust super poor people or super rich people
No,
because they're the
you gotta
same.
You got to be somewhere in the middle.
They're the same. They will
Yes.
do anything to
Yes.
protect their resources.
Well, it's a scarcity mindset. I read a book once actually that changed my entire perception because I used to have a lot of prejudice against wealthy individuals
We're
in my
taught it.
youth. Yes,
We're taught it.
and I read this book by this woman who, you know, her husband worked for a company that was the first American company to get like over $1 billion in revenue in the 1970s. They sold like huge industrial like equipment or
Big
whatever,
money.
right? So big money. So she's like,
Life
you know,
changing for their family.
rat race trying to keep up. You know, we're buying boats and we're doing this and we're doing that, and we have our kids and our kids are with the nanny and we're not spending time. And she's like, and then I see this, the World Hunger Initiative was launched, and it sparked something in me from when I was a kid, and I learned that people legitimately didn't have enough to eat, and that was just such
Shock.
Yeah,
yes, a
right.
shocking concept to me. And so she gets involved in fundraising for World Hunger, and her whole story is like super awesome. But she had the opportunity to meet Mother Teresa, who was an idol of hers. And I know that there's some questionable controversy that comes out, but
sure.
a lot of our saints seem to have that in retrospect.
all right.
However,
For the sake of
in the
discussion,
in the
yeah.
1970s, 80s, Mother Teresa was
pretty good.
Mother Teresa.
She's
yes,
pretty good.
And so she goes to India and she goes to this orphanage and she's walking in and she's like, there's this crumpled up like newspaper at the stoop, and I picked it up and there's a baby inside, which is like, what, right? So I take it in, and you know, some people in there like take it from me, and they're like,
Wait, did they deliver babies like papers there?
I was gonna say
Like big
in
and
a
German?
Well,
in a
in-
paper. Is that what you said?
in a country
I'm
in
joking.
well, yeah.
Right, like I'm like they just like
They just like put the baby in some newspaper and put her. There was a dowry system in India. So when women get married, their families have to,
right,
you
yeah,
know, come
right,
up with some
yeah.
money. And so infanticide is a whole deal. And you're actually not even allowed to learn the sex of your baby in India because it's such a huge, like, you have to
Yeah.
like pay undercover to find out. Yes.
Because they would.
Because they will, yes, or push down whatever.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's brutal. So she walks in, you know, they're like, Mother Teresa, she's not here right now. She went into town to bail some young girls out, bring them here to work. Here's an apron. We'll give you something to do while you wait for her. So she's like, you know, I'm going through the motion. Mother Teresa shows up. We go in this little room and I'm just, you know, gushing like, oh my gosh, I do this and I do that. And someone had obviously debriefed Mother Teresa on who this woman is, you know, because I'm sure she doesn't keep up with.
Right.
And, you know, she's like, yeah, I'm familiar with the work you do too. Da, da, da. And she's like, in the middle of this conversation, this couple barges in, and you can tell they're wealthy. You know, they had a little weight on them. So in India, that's an indicator,
Yeah, right.
clothing and everything like that. And they like don't introduce themselves, don't say hello, nothing. They stand Mother Teresa up, like jerk her chin, pose with her, take a picture, and like dip out. Like literally like a tourist attraction, like a human being. Okay. This woman's idol, and she's sitting there and she's like, and I am fuming. Like I hate rich people. Oh my gosh. Like how dare they? They're horrible. And she's like, and that hatred like clouded the whole rest of this interaction that I'm having. And I felt so horrible about it that I ended up writing her months afterwards and just explained to her, like, I felt so bad about, this whole interaction. And so Mother Teresa wrote back and she's like, Lynn, she's like, you have done great work in your life, and you can definitely see a need for helping the impoverished in the world. And like, your heart is so open to that. But when it comes to the wealthy among us, what you have to understand is their poverty is not in the material, it's in the soul.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn how to extend that grace to them too, because they are also lacking and they also need people to pour into them. It just looks differently.
Their grind is just different.
Yes. And it changed my whole perspective. And, she talks a lot about how we're all just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Right. They're worried
To
about
fill
making
our
enough.
voids.
Yeah. Because
Right,
the more
yeah.
money you make, the more bills you have.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
better stuff
so
you
it's
have, you
this
gotta
whole-
pay for it.
Everybody's void is different.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I almost sort of, and this is going to sound, but, those who don't have as many distractions, I think they are able to get more to the root of what's truly important about this human experience. And that's a beautiful thing. I've had the opportunity to travel to some different countries and, do some work and meet people that shouldn't be as happy as they are. They're happier than me. You know what I mean?
And I'm going to tell you right
Like-
now, people in Appalachia, when I grew up, when I was young, it was a different vibe. It was dirt road. It was outhouses and, churning butter. And like, you just grind and you're happy for the smallest things. You're happy when the cherries come in. You're happy when the
Yes.
raspberries come
Yes.
in.
You know how many
When the
Yes.
apples
beans
come in,
I've snapped,
I
right?
can
Yeah.
remember our Aunt Jenny, you know what I mean? Like this lady named Jenny, she was so cool and she was this old Appalachian lady. But when the apples, she's like, honey, y'all pick some apples. I'll make some turnovers. And she made them by hand. And dude, as a little kid,
Yes.
catching crawdads
That's
and eating apple
magic.
turnovers
Yes.
is like the jam. I'm
Yes.
sure some people like,
It's a perfect day.
Minecraft, but like it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was my
Yeah,
Minecraft.
hell yeah.
Picking up the right rock. Stop it.
It's
Right.
the good
Yes.
stuff. But I mean, but
Yes.
it's in context. Like I have had friends. Actually today's his birthday. He passed away last year, and but today's his birthday, and I miss him a lot. He's been in my head a lot. But he went running. He used to live with me, and he'd run. And I live in an area that there's normal houses and there's just mansions. And he goes running. He goes, "What kind of fucking asshole lives in a house that big? Like, what kind of fucking?" And
What
I
do you
go,
put in there?
right. And he's like, why do you fucking need that house? I said, so say you make $400,000 a year. And he goes, okay. So I pulled up my computer and I was like, okay, let's see what one of those houses cost. We looked it up. I go, if you make $400,000 a year, you could buy 2 of those houses. And he was like, what? And I was like, if he makes $400,000 a year, what do you want him to buy? A fucking Buick and a fucking trailer? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, so you're not allowed to have something nice or have something like, I don't know what ridiculous is anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. I know
Yeah.
that if you're a shitty person, that's all that really matters.
Yeah,
If you
your
want to have
character.
nice things, if a guy has a crazy Stradivarius violin that's worth $12 million, nobody's like, yeah, but it's a fucking violin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, and I'm sure but I'm just saying, like, what? It's weird what we give.
Yeah.
But that rich thing, but that's a divide and conquer thing. Poor people are the problem, rich people are the problem. Honestly, people are problems.
Yes.
And
Well,
in general, people kind of got to be problems. They just have different kinds of problems.
Yes. Yes.
Poor people.
Yes. It's
It's interesting for sure. Because I've lived it. Moving up here from Appalachia and the way we were treated, I didn't realize it until a couple years ago. It kind of hit me that my brother had to fight people. We had to fight people because we talk differently. Mm-hmm. And when we first moved here, we went to an all-white school. It wasn't like these are just white kids. And they're like, they talk different. And my brother would just beat the fucking brakes off of them. Because we grew up on a
That's
farm.
one way to handle it,
Well, I'm just saying, we grew up on a farm.
That's how
so-
you handle things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
man. He would fuck them up, man. And they're used to like talking shit. And he would just fucking put hands on
Yes.
them, like, and just beat them. And then he became friends with like the biggest bully in school, and they were best friends. My friends were afraid to even come over. They'd call me like, "Is Jimmy and Johnny there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, seriously." But it was funny. But like looking back at it, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, are you serious?"
Yeah, over something that.
And like that's my little story compared to you, which is even more. You know what I mean? You can look at me and not know where I'm from. Mm-hmm. You, it's like it's not. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You know,
everyone asks, "Where are you from?"
People do ask me what my ethnicity is.
Yeah.
What are you mixed
What
with?
are you?
Yes,
Mixed.
all the time.
Is mixed a weird word.
Human.
I'm a human being. Thank you.
human
I like to
being.
tell them I'm a complete weirdo
Yeah.
because that's also true.
You know,
like
you
I
should
am
say-
extremely
asked all the
strange.
You should
time.
say
Yes,
Puerto
I
Rican.
do get asked quite a
Puerto
bit.
Rican. That's it.
Younger, I was because my name's Maria. So
Right.
actually, in second grade, there was a boy that would tell me I was Spanish or Mexican all
Right,
the
sure.
time. You know, and kind of
Something
use that as an
Catholic.
insult. Yeah, you know, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, it's kids are cruel. But that
Fucking-
comes from
Oh my
what
God,
they
they're
pick up at
assholes.
home too, especially when it comes to that. Because kids ask questions. My kids ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's how you answer them. You know, like my kids ask questions about they experienced a child that wanted to be referred to as they.
Yep.
So that was a whole conversation that we
Yeah.
needed to have. And to be honest, it's not something that I'm extremely versed in,
Yeah.
you know, but I am a very inclusive and liberal minded person. And so I've been telling my children since they were very young, like, I'm not raising a bully.
Right.
I will not tolerate that. Like, you
know
will
what
have to
sucks?
deal with me if
Somebody-
I ever hear that.
I remember somebody saying, if your kid doesn't complain about bullies, they're probably a bully.
Right. Right.
And I never thought about
That
that, but
makes
I was
sense.
like, wow.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
If your kid's like, no, I'm cool. He's like, you're probably fucking being a
Right.
dick. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. So going to Jackson, how like in that area, people don't know what Jackson is because unless you're from here.
Yes,
But like
so
Jackson's a very,
it's-
very nice community.
It's a nice community. I actually had to go to like a town hall meeting my senior year. They had no debt at that time, so you know, just as a city,
They're
township,
a
whatever,
wonderful
to not.
ran- you know,
Yes,
they are.
absolutely.
It's a beautiful community. It is.
98% graduation rate at the time that I went to school
All the
there.
resources.
Wonderful education.
All the resources.
A wonderful education.
I've never heard anybody complain of that place.
No, teachers for the most part are great. I did experience
Now they complain just a little bit.
just a bit. Well, yeah, there's some recent things too that so I imagine that we're going to be hearing a lot more about them. But for the most part, it was a good experience. I would say I do not really talk to anyone that I graduated with or
Yeah.
keep in touch with anyone. Which I feel like a lot of people can say, you know,
I'm only
from high
friends with a
school.
couple people
Yeah,
from high
that's
Selective
pretty
few,
fair.
maybe.
Yeah. One of the big reasons for that, I would say, is most of the girls that I was friends with and graduated with are just now starting their families. And I had my kid at 19.
Yeah.
And that was something that was really difficult for them to
Well, they're wanting to go out and do
understand.
things.
Yes, and specifically, their freshman year of college was when I got pregnant.
Right.
And one of my
Same.
best friends from high school, right?
It's a whole struggle.
And I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after my dad passed, my biological father. So that was a whole
That's
thing.
a big week.
Right? Yes. Huge month for me at I'm 18, you know. So all of these things. I had custody of my brother who was 15. He was 15 at the time.
Wow.
Which that in and of itself was a pretty major deal because typically child services will not give you custody unless you're at least 21. But that's just because of who I was growing up in the system.
Worked out.
They knew me.
Yeah.
The governor gave me an award when I
Dang.
came out because they had predicted I was going to do so well. I don't know if I did, but you know,
You're like,
sure they had
"Eh."
higher hopes for me. But yeah, so sorry, I lost my
There's a
train
little
of thought.
speed bump.
Bring me back.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
Yes,
And
yes,
that's it.
yeah. So
But-
yeah, so I got pregnant, and one of my friends, it was her birthday, and she invited me to a birthday dinner, and I was like, hey, I don't have the money right now to pay for dinner, but I would love to come to your house and like for the sleepover and
right,
all
yeah.
that afterwards, but I would really prefer not to have to come out to eat because I can't afford a meal right now because I got pregnant by my boss. So when I took a leave
should've got
after
a
my dad
raise.
passed,
Shit.
I couldn't go back because now I was carrying his child and we shouldn't have been together in the first place. So that's a whole other thing.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole
So
another. We're going to
she
get
made
into
a
that.
huge, yeah, she made a huge issue and was like, no, like, you need to be here. It's my birthday. Oh my gosh. So I go, and like literally I'm pregnant, had to sit there and watch 8 girls eat their food. And we were at Red Robin, so they like offered me like a basket of the bottomless fries. I literally got up, went into the bathroom, cried, came back out and sat there and was like, these are not actually my friends. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to sit here and watch me not be able to eat. And I didn't even want you to pay for my meal, right? Like, I wasn't sitting here looking for a handout. I literally just wanted to be uninvited because of personal, but it wasn't something but they couldn't,
They couldn't comprehend.
I mean, this is a girl who literally, and I hate to be like this because the things that everyone experiences are their experiences, and there is no spectrum to put that on. You can feel all of the range of emotions for a paper cut to death of a loved one. You know what I mean? Like,
trauma is relative.
Trauma is, yes. However, there are...
She's like, but this bitch, let me tell you.
Hadn't experienced too much severe trauma. You know what I mean? And
Hard
so...
shit for her.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
and it's very hard. And I have tried for years. It is extremely difficult to get people that do not come from that lifestyle at all to understand what it's like to touch that part of life. There's like a whole nother world happening all the time simultaneously that people are just completely unaware of.
Yeah, and you can't be mean about it. Because I know people that are like, well, they don't fucking understand. I'm like, you just said it. They don't understand.
They don't understand.
And they don't have to.
Yeah,
and I'm glad they didn't.
Right. And it's actually a beautiful
because-
thing that they were able to be like, not, you know.
They are unscathed.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
so
absolutely.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes. But it does make it difficult when things like that happen.
Yeah. I don't like when people force
that they just
people
don't
to do shit.
understand.
It's dumb.
Yeah. And it was really, really icky. So...
Sorry, Red Robin.
Yeah. It took me a long time to go back, actually.
Their fries are pretty good, though.
little traumatized from that
There you
experience.
go.
Yes. So yeah, that I would say was like one of the biggest things going there was just like.
So having
totally
a kid at
different.
19.
Do not recommend.
Yeah, I was younger.
0
I
out of
cannot
10.
even imagine
You
being
were
any younger than
I
19.
beat both of you.
How? 17?
17.
It's
I was
21.
16 when I got a girl pregnant. She
You
was
were 21.
18. Yeah, I didn't get the real good birds and bees talk.
Are
yeah.
you playing the I didn't know better card?
You didn't know what happens?
I don't mean that.
Yeah.
You didn't know?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm not
That's
that
fair.
dumb of a kid either.
No.
No,
but
I'm being
but
serious.
sat you
Like,
down and it was
like, looking
here's
back-
a condom.
Or how to prevent
Here's
it. Yeah. Here's what can
birth
happen.
Control. No.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
Does this
didn't
feel
get
I mean,
that
I
call.
didn't get that card. I didn't get that.
I
talk
actually
didn't get the
did get a
call.
really
As my-
in-depth talk.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
As
Yes,
my buddy Mike would say, I didn't ask.
You're like I did, and also I
still
didn't
have.
listen.
There's a reason for this.
No, like, I'll be honest. My
Little
dad...
ODD.
I got
Sorry.
trapped.
Right. My dad lived far away. My older brother was doing his own thing, wreaking havoc at that point, and I really didn't have a male influence that spoke to me that way. I had a pretty religious mom, and she was busy raising
Yeah.
kids by herself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, truthfully, and the girl I got pregnant was 18. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was 16.
Yeah.
I was a baby.
Yeah,
You know,
you
and people
were.
are like, you don't regret it, do you? I was like,
Baby.
I don't regret my kid, but yeah,
Right.
I regret getting a girl pregnant.
Right.
Do
at 16.
I question
I've
my
talked to my
choices?
daughter, and you know, I've talked to my daughter about it, and I love her so much, and I'm so proud of her, and she's amazing. We have a wonderful relationship. We talk almost every single day, and I just love her. But she's like, you're not hurting my feelings. I
Right.
But she has passed
Right.
that age now, and
Yes.
she's like, that would be
Yeah.
shitty.
Yeah.
No, and I mean,
Oh, I wouldn't do that either.
she's amazing, but I don't recommend it.
No.
And you know, it made my life very, very hard. And you know, being very young and then getting married very young and getting divorced very young, and it's a lot. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yes.
at 19.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, at 19 sounds good.
Comparatively,
so-
I was 21.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. We're
Sure.
steps. Yeah, we're
You
taking
know what I
steps up.
tell my kids? 30.
Yeah.
Shit.
'Cause
As close as
in-
you can get to 30
in
is
your 20s. To recap, you have no idea
who you are.
Who you
don't.
are
You don't.
And you're just
None.
until you're 30.
Yes.
you're gonna waste your best years.
Right. You know.
Yes.
Right.
And I tell
as close
your
as
20s
you
are for
can.
you.
Right. Yeah.
Your 20s are for you.
Right.
I'm going to get a t-shirt made.
Right.
Your 20s are
under
for you.
18, it's about us.
Yes. Yes.
18 to 30 is about you.
Yes.
30 and over.
It's about finding
I feel
that
like,
life partner.
Right. I
Yes.
feel like you have a better understanding
Or
of
you have
who
a
you're
reasonable
gonna be.
picker.
their picker is.
You're not the same
definitely-
person. Like you're just
You're-
not
you're
at
not,
all.
right.
Not even a little
I
bit.
wasn't. Are
No.
you?
Oh yeah,
21 to 31? Same person?
dude. Listen, the last year. Are you kidding me? No, I change weekly.
Oh,
I
for
feel
sure.
like, you know.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it is what it is, and you had to get after it. So you had a kid at 19.
Yes.
You're taking care of your little brother.
Yes. So
Your
find
story's
out I'm
getting
pregnant.
crazy.
Yeah.
I want to do an animation of this shit.
so my children's father was 8 years older than me.
Okay.
Second.
Which isn't crazy.
No. But the second person I'd ever been with sexually,
You're like that day. I'm
because I waited all through high school.
Children's. They have the same dad?
Yes, both of them have the same father. And yeah, I didn't do anything in high school. I did nothing.
That's why you're getting
And
awards by the
nothing at
governor.
all.
Right.
Nothing,
The
That's why you're
governor
getting
was
awards.
like,
Well,
look
it was-
at you.
I've had male friends my whole life, and I heard the way they talked about the girls that they messed with, and I was like, oh, nay. I will not be one of those. So
They're like,
we're
I
just
thought
going to
you
keep it
Spanish
cool,
girls were
homie.
crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm cool. And so, yeah, and I'm very open, right? So I'm telling him this. I wasn't on birth control because it makes me physically ill. So he knew that, and
Take
we go for it.
care.
And
We go for it.
he dumps
you're
a load first round. And I'm like,
Christ.
dude, are you
I
insane?
thought I was grabbing. Oh my God! Don't animate that, Mike. Jesus. So was he a dump truck driver? I don't know. Did
And
you work for the
he
city?
he had been engaged before me. I mean, he was 26 years old. He is the general manager of one of the biggest stores in the region of like a big retail chain. Okay, this
Pick
man knows
you.
what he's. Yes. Do you know what
Did
the
you
thing?
feel a little bit good about that? Like,
You know,
let's
thinking
pause
back,
and be
like,
you know what?
I was 19 doing my shit out here.
Right,
You know
yeah,
what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
It was. We
Yeah,
have the
why
same
wouldn't it
favorite
be?
movie. That was like the spark for him. He said, looking back, Lord of the Rings.
We both liked
Never,
skating. We both liked
we both
Reese
loved
Cups.
Lord of the Rings. It was a match made in
So I have people, listen, I have people come into my shop and I go, so, they go, we have a lot in common. I go, well, what do you have in common? And they're like, well, we both love movies and we both love music. I go, everybody fucking loves music. Like,
right?
if you said like, look,
Right, your ears?
we're both really into 16th century French architecture.
Okay,
That's very
valid. Right, yeah.
specific, you know?
Right.
Yes.
Movies and music. We loved air. We love sunshine. We love puppies.
Water.
Yes.
Water's great.
Water's great.
Yes.
We like to take showers.
Yes. All the.
All right,
I
so
was
you were-
naive. I was very
but not
naive.
just that, he was
I
probably
was.
a
I
nice
was,
guy.
He came off as a nice guy, right? I wrecked my car and he offered me a ride to work, and that's how he got my number. Very slick, this one.
He was also the
He
manager.
liked
He was
Ooh.
also
right?
the manager.
So he
yes,
needed you
he
to
needed
go
me
to
there. I
work,
was the
right?
head cashier, so like to be fair, but he was texting me about things that had nothing to do with what time he was picking me up, which was an indicator that there's a little more interest here. We text, quite frequently. Talked on the phone.
Well, and
He wrote me a poem.
You're
Fuck.
extremely.
I know. I'm
I'm
like
leaving.
laying it on thick.
You're extremely mature for your age.
And
at this
absolutely.
point.
You're well
At
So
this
you're
point,
like,
yes.
you are.
I'm
You said
talking
8
ab-
years.
yes,
older.
8 years
Right.
older, and I'm
So
talking about
you're
things that he's-
probably about
yes,
even
yes,
maturity level.
because
Right.
of all
So
that
you're
I've been
oh my
through,
God,
all
you're
day
like
long.
a whole
experiences.
adult. Right.
Yes,
right.
yes, is how I'm thinking. Even though I really wasn't.
No.
Right, but I thought I was.
You grew up quick.
Yeah, I did,
were.
which traps us
You're as mature
kids
as
that
most
go through trauma up a
28-year-olds.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, he just decides to go for it, and we had only been like talking for like 4 months at this
a long
point.
time.
Huge amount of time.
2.5
4 years now.
So then my dad passes a couple months after we actually get physical, and I find out I'm pregnant 2 weeks later, and I already have custody of my brother at this point because the foster home he was in was not
So
a
you're
good
doing big
situation
girl
at all.
stuff.
I'm attempting,
Grown-ass
to be
woman
fair,
stuff.
in high school, like my goal has always been like I thought I was going to go out here and change the world. All right, like, I thought I was,
Yeah.
and I've always had that desire.
Still
So
can.
that's we're working towards it.
Yeah.
So I have custody of my brother,
And you have a younger sibling.
and I have 2 younger siblings.
Where's the other one?
My younger sister, she experienced her first mental breakdown at 13,
Yeah.
which was devastating. So we're biological parents, right? Then we go to my older sister, and then we go to this woman who turned out to
Cousin,
be
something.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
aunt.
right.
We'll call her my aunt.
Unhinged
Okay.
aunt.
At the aunt's home, I made the choice to tell my caseworker, I need to leave. I don't care where you put me. I don't care if it's a group home at this point. Like, I can't ride it out till 18. I thought I could, can't do it. But I didn't want to make that decision for my sister because I had been making decisions for her. And our younger brother has always had extreme behavioral issues. And the aunt that we lived with had 2 biological children. One was severely autistic, like nonverbal. And the other was born premature, had a little cerebral palsy, and was a little, very, she works and has a car and has a child, very high functioning. But my aunt was most popular girl in school and very social. And I got the feeling that she kind of wanted to relive some of that. And since her children had special needs, she wasn't able to through them.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to do that through
Surrogate.
my sister and I. Yes.
Yeah.
And my brother was completely unhinged, even at 9 years old. Bless
He
his
was like
heart.
this.
Oh my, yes, like F the
I
world.
will not
Yes,
be your monkey.
I will
Thank
not.
you.
Listen, I want to go back to my parents. What is this shit? So she shipped him out at 9. So my brother's been out here in the world on his own since 9 and has been through like 20 different homes at least.
Disruption.
Bounced
after
around,
disruption.
yes,
Yeah,
because
right.
he is just a very self-destructive individual. Yes. So my sister and I are in this home, us
he
two,
tried
for
MMA?
a couple years, right?
Right. Put him in karate. It'll be fine. Is that not what everybody said?
Didn't turn out too great. And my sister wanted to stay. She had a different experience. She was more able to assimilate to, just came more naturally to her. Me, I've been a sweatpants and hoodie type of gal since I was very young. I don't want to put in all this effort. So anyways, I could see the signs before I left because they gave me like a week to deliberate. I had my mind made up, but they gave me a week to think about it and then make my final decision. And my sister had this moment in the kitchen where she just got super hysterical, wasn't making any sense. And I pulled, because it was my aunt and her mom that we lived with, and I pulled her aside and I was like, she needs to go back to therapy. Like, that's not a good sign at all. And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Right.
Maybe I don't. So I leave. And before I got out of the, I was like, yeah, I'm out, sis, if you want to stay. And I get it because I literally had no idea where I was going until the caseworker pulled into the driveway.
Seriously?
I
Yep.
swear to you. I'm 15. I have
That's
no
how
idea
that
where I'm going
goes.
until I pull into the driveway. None. So
We call those Ubers now.
right. So I get there. Luckily, it was a great home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wonderful family.
Blessed that way.
Yes, absolutely. Very fortunate. Very fortunate. We pull in, and before I get out of the car, I told my caseworker, I was like, just so you know, this isn't over. My sister's going to probably have a breakdown soon. And when that happens, she's not going to want her. Because she's another child that has these special needs, and it's not what she wants, just so you are aware. I want you to know that's going to happen. And I think it took a month or two.
Really?
And I called one night to talk to her, and they answered the phone. She's
there.
like, she's at Akron Children's. And I was like, I remember just dropping to the floor because all of my whole childhood comes back, right? Like, my sister is going to turn into my dad one day. Like,
Yeah.
that can't be real. So my foster mom was great. She gets me in the car. We drive up to Akron Children's that night.
Aw.
They won't let me see her. My aunt told her doctors that I was the cause of her mental illness. So the whole time she's like going through this process, I have to call and talk to my aunt to get updates. And I'm 15 years old. Like, how's my sister doing? She's like, she's doing really good. But, I just really wish you wouldn't have left her. When you left her, that just broke her. And I really hope, like, you are the reason why she's going through, like, you know what I mean? Like, literally. And I'm like, okay, yeah. All right. How's my sister? And eventually they told my sister in school, they came to her counselor's office in school and told her, this isn't working out. You can't live here anymore. And I told my foster mom, hey, this is probably going to happen. Will you bring her here? And she's like, yeah, And she did. And I remember my foster mom telling me, she's like, Maria, after my sister came to live with us, she's like, I didn't think that woman really hated you like you said she did until this came. 3 days after my birthday, my aunt sent my sister a Coach purse, flowers, and an edible arrangement, and wrote her a letter and did not mention me
Never
not
got an
one
edible arrangement.
time.
Not once.
And this is a grown
Woman.
and I'm
Successful.
15. Yes, great job, the whole nine. And she tried to buy our love.
Yeah.
We went on cruises.
I'm into that, though.
And
She
we went
wants
to
somebody,
Kalahari.
like, I'm in.
And I mean,
What's
Foster
up?
me.
Call me.
yes, all the
Let me
things,
dance.
all
Call
the
me.
things. And it didn't work for me because I grew up with like
Yeah, you didn't
But
care.
you didn't
practically nothing.
care?
You know, I
Did
didn't
it
care
all-
about
did
it.
it-
It was cool. Don't
But
get me
did it
wrong.
come-
It was awesome
It's a
experiencing
bonus.
that. Yes. But it wasn't what was like most important to me.
Did you feel that you didn't want to accept stuff because it always came at a price?
Once I realized kind of what her deal
Yeah.
was, for
What her
sure. Like
MO
I
was, yeah.
tried to just.
Like,
It was
I'm good.
My sophomore year, summer before my sophomore year, I didn't ask to go hang out with my friends not one time. I was the girl that always got grounded. That's like what I was known for at the high school my freshman year, because like she
Maria
would go
can't
through my
go.
phone.
Right, yeah.
No, literally,
She
like,
can't
oh,
go.
she's grounded, and I would get grounded for like 4 months at a time for like 1 C and all A's on my report card. I mean, like nutso, right? Like
Hold on, I gotta call my daughter. She's grabbing.
I feel like now that I know
like,
what the
what in the
expectation
world?
is.
And so then at some point I was
Grounded.
like, F it, if I'm going to get in trouble for
Go
all this
hard.
stuff, yeah, I'm just going to start smoking weed and do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I'm going
Acting
to do it
out.
all. Yeah,
Wilding
you
out.
think I'm doing all this. Like, what does it matter?
Yeah. Paying the price.
Yeah, and that's finally, I was like, dude, I haven't hung out with my friends in over 6 months. I have straight A's. I'm
You
going
said
to
your
a
friends are
library.
shitty at Red
reading
Robin. I mean, how many
12
times
right,
do you
well,
want to go to
these
fucking
was a
Red
different high
Robin?
school. I know, you're good. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to dip out. So,
You
you know.
missed out on all those carbs from Red Robin.
Yes.
For 6
yes,
months.
I did. Yeah.
So foster family,
Yes.
reasonable people,
Yes.
wonderful people.
Yes, very good people. I did end up reconnecting with my biological family when I turned 18.
As most do.
I overshare. I ended up losing my virginity to one of my foster brothers, right? Same
Okay.
age. It happens. And then everyone in the family found out, and it got super awkward
I bet.
afterwards. Super
Yeah.
awkward. And so I was like, we're going to dip out, you know? We're going to
You're
leave.
like-
Yeah, peace. And I reconnected with my biological family, which I hadn't intended on happening, but it
Right.
just kind of did. And then actually my 2 older siblings talked me into getting custody of our younger siblings because they couldn't. And they were like, oh, just sign the papers. We'll do everything. That's not how that turned out. Not at
And
all.
here you
Not at
are.
all. And I actually had people, my aunt's, some of her extended family that was involved when we lived there felt so bad about how everything had happened. They offered for me to come live with them so I could go to college and just be taken care of like
normal,
young adults
Like-
deserve, like literally painted the
like
room,
an advocate.
bought me my first car. I
Normal
mean,
shit.
wonderful people because they
Aw.
felt so terrible that, you know what I mean? Like they recognized and saw what had happened. And that's one of those decisions, you know, you look back and you're like, if I would have chose differently my whole life, because I had this is like, I had my older biological siblings, like, get custody of your sister and brother. They really need you. They're in these horrible situations and you won't have to do anything. And my brother's like, I'll get you this apartment, you know, so you guys can be set up. And then I have these people that are like, come stay with us and we'll
We'll
take
love
care
you.
of you and we'll support you so you can go to college and not have to worry about any of this. And just like, and you can guess what I chose, you know? And
I seem to do that a couple times. in my life.
yeah. I did it again in 2020 so, with my niece and nephew and like that. But I don't regret that decision. I try
No.
not to live with regrets. It gets
Yeah, it gets
way
old.
too much, you
Sure.
know?
Right.
Um,
Well, for what?
yeah, right. And I wouldn't have my kids if I had made that decision.
Yeah.
You know, I might not be
We're
here
getting
today
back
if
to
I
that.
had made that
Well,
decision.
we're circling back to
know what I mean?
manager, okay?
Back we could do a whole podcast just on
I
their
know.
dad, just alone.
So I got to hear about this. So you have a child with him.
Yes.
Do you play house?
We moved in when I was
Yeah.
pregnant.
Nice.
So while I was pregnant, my younger brother experienced his first mental breakdown after our dad passed.
Yeah.
And because he had just been able to come back around my dad
And lost him.
and lost him.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that and then he got involved with a cousin on my dad's side of the family who got all in his mind and twisted him all up, and religion. It's not a good thing to get super involved in if mental health, you know what I mean, is
It's
an issue
very easy,
anyways.
though.
It's
Easy to
very
prey
easy.
on those
It
people.
is.
Literally.
And I don't yeah. So and my brother's was more violent, like he tried
Is
to
this
open
is this that
my
kid?
younger brother. Yes, that's that kid.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's trying to open my front door with a butcher knife, and it's like the neighborhood kids knocking on the door, and it's like you can't do that, and he's trying to jump out of moving vehicles to prove that he's Jesus. And so it was like a whole
thing.
Yeah, right, yes. Yeah. And to be fair,
my dad, 19?
I was 18. 19. Yes, I was 19.
How old was he?
My brother?
Yeah.
16.
Okay.
Yes.
So not a huge gap. It's
No,
not like
3
he's
years.
a 9-year-old.
And I guarantee
right?
he
Like,
was the
right.
size
Yeah.
of a man.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's
He
what
was a
I'm thinking.
teenager.
Like,
He's
you could just
16-year-old boy.
pick him up and be like, listen,
No,
little boy. Right,
not
yeah.
at all. Not at all.
He was a man.
Yes, yes. And to be fair, so my father's birth name is Allah. And my mother's birth name is Mary. So him thinking he's Jesus is kind of fair.
You're Maria.
Holy
He's like,
shit.
I know. Like literally like birth certificate, God. Like that's your name. Allah. Like super.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I got some pretty biblical names too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Muslim
like
names.
that.
We're not Muslim, but like I have an uncle, I have an uncle named Kwam Shalahu. I know.
And you know what's funny? That's
It
the
gets
white
weird.
guy. That's the white uncle. So it's even more ridiculous. This
Just
guy
adds
walks
an
in,
extra
like
layer on.
glasses, mock turtleneck.
Bow tie.
Yeah. Hi.
Koofy.
oh, God.
Yes.
We call him K-Dog.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
So your brother was going through it.
So he was really going
Listen,
through it.
I've been mad at
Yes.
my brother. Not
Yes.
mad. I love my brother, but I thought he had some issues. I'm gonna go hug him.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, you know
No,
what?
I had to call. I
You
can't
can't.
do
What
this.
the fuck you
No.
can do with
And
that?
he had to go down.
You
there's
couldn't do
somewhere
that
in
if it was your own
Columbus.
kid.
No, you can't. You need to train. He needed a trained professional to like
Yeah.
help him
Yeah,
navigate.
or sniper.
Yeah, right. Something.
Yeah, take the shot.
What? Something.
Appalachia. Sorry, it's just instinctual. It's instinctual. Just put him
comes
down.
naturally.
Bad dog. Put him down.
Stop it.
I know. I don't want to be. I'm growing. Why do you
All
think I sit with
right,
a therapist every
You
week?
cannot say. Let's
No
just take him
snakes.
out
Don't
back.
kill
Are off the
anybody.
Let's
table.
just take him out back.
No, I'm joking.
Put him out of his misery.
I hope he's doing well. I don't know. I love Jesus.
It'll be fine.
So we move in together, right? Because like,
Right.
Yeah, play
you know,
house.
this is all.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we move it, and that's when we really got to know each other
That's okay.
As
and realized
it is.
we
right?
weren't compatible.
But you love Lord of
at
the
all.
Rings.
We both love Lord of the
Even
Rings.
when the second movie came out?
Stop. That's where it stops. Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, all three of them are out at this
Fan
point.
fiction.
So like,
Oh.
yeah.
But did you wait for
Yes.
The Hobbit or
Yeah.
anything else?
No. I think we split up before the Hobbits even
Oh,
came
maybe
out,
you
which
guys-
is totally lame.
So you had another child with him.
Yes. So we
Yeah.
have our first
Intention.
Is he
child.
Catholic?
Well, let me tell you that he's not religious at all. Not religious at all. But listen to this. So I gave birth to our first child. Okay, I went natural, mainly because
you did.
not being able to feel my
Yeah,
legs
sure.
freaked me out more than anything else. Like I've never had
You're
surgery
like,
or anything, so I'm like,
I have vulnerability issues.
yeah,
I need to be.
I'm cool. I'm gonna feel all of this excruciating pain and back
Makes
labor
sense.
and everything.
Yeah,
right?
It's great.
Terrible. Actually, it was a really cool
Beautiful
experience. It
experience,
is. It's a very
obviously,
spiritual thing, and that's a whole other. We're about to take our son home. He's about to go out of the hospital room, go get the car seat. You know, you got to bring it up, baby
bring it.
car seat.
He left.
He looks at me, dead in the face, and says, "I'm not in love with you anymore," and walks out of the like. That's how he tells me.
In
And
the
walks in the
hospital?
hospital and literally leaves the hospital room to go get the car seat to bring it up to take our firstborn child home, and is like, "I'm not in love with you anymore."
Are you sure they didn't give you drugs and you just
I-
misunderstood it?
none.
Because that is the
Motrin.
bravest.
Motrin,
Look.
right? Yeah, no, I know, right? Yeah.
Dude, that beats my dad's story. And I didn't think much would beat my
That's
dad's story.
insane.
What did you say? Like, F
I
you,
was-
go
I
get
didn't
the
say- I
fucking
didn't know what to
car seat?
say. Like,
bring
and
the car up.
My best friend like walks in right after, and I just like break down, and she's like,
Allergies.
"I'm gonna kill him," and I'm like, "Please, no, don't," and I like collect myself, you know.
Because you just want to go home.
We go home, and he's like, it's not the same as it was, and I'm not in love with you anymore, and
Can I
but
ask
I
you
want to
something?
try to work on it.
I have a question.
Yes,
We have questions.
we have questions.
We have questions.
Being a manager,
Let's get into it.
don't you think he should know how to read a fucking room?
I feel like
One-
I feel like
One would
that's a skill.
assume.
So then we're gonna double down. We're gonna be like, this guy told me he didn't love you in a pretty like big
Worst time ever.
Yeah.
Worst time ever.
Ever.
Like literally
pretty close.
We're going.
ever.
Wedding day
Only
and
worst
that.
time would have been when I was actually literally giving birth.
I was gonna say labor.
yeah,
might
that
have beat it.
yes, yes.
We're at the altar.
Maybe. Okay.
I could probably
I
handle
can maybe,
that better.
yeah, because at least you're like
No.
telling me now
No.
before we
Yeah,
actually
'cause
go
you-
all the way through with this.
You can bail out then.
Not with 100 people sitting there.
You just sign
Just
different
push 'em.
paperwork.
Yeah.
This,
Babies
you're
are
like,
permanent.
Oh, so here's this
too
whole
late.
ass human that
Yeah.
we just made.
We just made
So-
a
We're
human
supposed
together.
to bring home
Wait.
now.
Right now.
So-
like literally right now. And you want me to
He's
get in
in
the car.
his outfit. You're
Yes.
getting the car seat.
Yes. Like,
We're going.
He's all
to
bundled
our
up. It's
residence.
January.
Right. We're going to our
To bring our
residence
baby
right
home.
now.
And,
And
you're
you're like,
telling me, actually, not really feeling
More
you.
like a roommate situation.
Yes, literally. Like literally. And then have you ever seen a pregnant woman's stomach immediately afterwards?
Oh, it's like Jello-y.
Oh my gosh, no one prepares you for that.
They do not.
It's like a roadmap. It's insane, and you feel so horrible about yourself
Listen,
afterwards.
I'm not saying anything about
Oh my
pregnant
goodness.
women. I'm not saying shit.
It's not,
I know
this is
this.
not your space.
I can barely say that to a woman if she's
Just
not
nod and
pregnant.
agree.
If she's not just had a baby, I could barely look at her
The-
and say, "I don't love you anymore." Like
Right?
I listen.
Like,
he should manage the Pentagon, okay?
With no follow up. Like that's cold hearted. That's very
well,
cold.
okay,
Flat?
but let me
Flat.
ask.
Just like,
ready?
you know
Just,
what?
yes,
Next
like
question.
so matter of fact.
Next question.
Yes.
You mentioned you had 2 children with him. So
So
She's like, and then we went
did he do
home.
that the second time?
I come
Cut
from
two.
I come
Part
from
2.
chaos, dysfunction.
Yeah, it's normal.
right.
Yeah.
This man makes decent money.
Yeah.
He's there.
sure.
He's
You don't
know,
wanna break up your
supportive.
home?
I have his parents worked it out. They fought a lot, and they stayed together. So that's the dynamic that he grew up with. So he's very much like, we can work this out. We can figure this
Okay.
out. We
All
have
right,
kids.
so you went home and he was
so we
like,
went
"We're
home.
good."
We're gonna
Like,
try to
like,
figure
for
this
sure.
out, right? Which we
I
tried
might
to
have
figure it
fucked up.
out.
I might
Right.
have said the wrong
Right.
thing.
I might have said the wrong, but we're gonna.
I
try
meant
to
to
figure
say,
this out.
is that the outfit we're putting on him?
I meant to say, right.
I thought
I just
we
didn't
were
love you in
bringing
that
him home in
moment.
green.
No,
I don't love him in yellow.
no. He doubled down on, I'm not in love with you anymore, but I'm willing to try to maybe get back
yeah,
to that.
Sure. Right.
So
Couples counseling.
yeah, well, that wasn't one of the things that we tried.
No, you just got it on again.
Sexual
just-
therapy. Right.
Well, the sex was very important to him.
Yeah.
And
As
not so
it
much
is.
to me, because I wasn't attracted to him anymore, because obviously emotionally I'm not connected.
Yeah.
I didn't understand all of these things at the time, though. So he's thinking there's something physically wrong with me. So we're looking up
There is.
all of
You
these research
birthed a
things as
child.
to like,
That's
why
what's
am I
wrong.
not physically responding? And it's like, I don't know, dude. I'm not broken. So we end up having another kid because, we're trying to, and I did try to get on birth control. I got sick. It makes me vomit. The pill just, I don't know, just
Right.
doesn't agree with me. He was very upset when he found out that we got pregnant with Isaac.
Does he know how to pull out?
I said a name.
Just saying.
No.
Actually, no,
I
that's
guess
not a skill
not.
of his.
So he's not
I guess
Catholic.
He
not.
doesn't know how to
No.
read a room.
No.
He doesn't
Doesn't
know
like
how to move
condoms.
quickly. He doesn't
Doesn't like to pull out. He also does not let anyone see his feet. Literally. My kids have never seen his feet. We fucked in the shower once and he kept his socks on.
I like this guy.
Oh my
I fucking love it. I fucking love it. This guy will go hard. Listen, I want him to manage.
so committed.
I need a manager. I need him.
He is so committed.
You've never seen his feet?
I've never seen his feet. One time
Listen.
I almost did. He like curled his toes
Listen.
like that, so I couldn't see. Whitest feet in
Ready?
the game, yo.
Here's
They
the
haven't
deal.
seen the sun in like
Here's
20
the deal.
years.
The next man that tells you he doesn't love you after you have a baby, I want you to take a fucking nail gun and drive his feet into the fucking ground where he stands, okay? So I don't, listen, never again.
Never again. We're
Ever
not going
again.
back.
He wore his socks in the goddamn
In
shower.
the shower.
Oh my
in the
God.
shower. Soggy socks in the shower.
Soggy socks might be my biggest pet peeve.
Oh my gosh,
Just for the
disgusting.
record.
Yes, like there's no
Slouchy
worse
socks.
feeling.
So wait a
Soggy
minute.
socks.
So wait.
All right,
Wait,
we
what-
have
Let's
more
process it.
questions. Right, like we need to pause.
Follow-up
We need to pause. I have so many follow-ups.
How many times have you seen his feet?
She
I just
said
said never.
You-
He hurried up and like did a ninja move, like
Does he have a
tucked
weird
his toes.
toe?
I guess he doesn't like his toenails,
May
but
I
like they
ask
can't be that
his
bad.
ethnicity?
He is a white male.
Oh, you're
Okay,
pissing
so
your
just-
grandpa off.
Caucasian.
Yeah, just Caucasian, just
Whoa, whoa.
run of the mill.
Okay, but
He
like,
doesn't
I mean,
add any spice to it. He didn't look into his
all
background or his
Sure,
heritage
sure.
or anything
Right.
like that.
I mean,
Right.
he's white.
He's
Did
All right.
he hold on.
I'm out.
Did he say to you, Maria, you may not see my feet?
Yes, he
Oh,
he understands
like,
that
sure.
the foot. He knows the foot thing is a thing, and he says, "I'm very self conscious about my feet. I don't show anybody my feet." And gets upset. Like, don't
to
joke.
see his
Don't
feet
touch
now.
his socks. Like, he will like be damn near ready to punch you.
Sleeps with socks.
Yes.
He wears
Sex with
slippers.
I mean, socks. When he goes to the beach, you know those toe shoes?
Yeah.
He is committed.
He wears them to his sister's pool. The toe shoes. To his family's swimming pool.
He doesn't have toes though.
Like
He
toe
has
sock
toes.
You
shoes.
don't know that.
He
See,
curves something under.
One
We don't.
Big
He could have 7.
throbbing lump is what he has. Is what
was he like
Maybe
Asian?
they're webbed.
Hey, did they do that
Maybe.
Asian
Who
thing to his
Maybe
feet?
they're green or
They
blue.
bound his
or-
feet like that.
Yeah,
Asian
Yes.
lady?
yes, yeah. Oh my
Well,
gosh,
that's what she
that
said.
just
She
brought
saw
back
them
memories.
once, and she was like,
Yep.
All right,
literally.
so you had baby number 2. You're still playing house.
all right.
Yeah. So
Did that bring home with the baby go better?
with my second,
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
no, he was colic.
No,
No.
but when you
It was terrible. It was
the
even
white
worse.
toe guy, was he better? Or was he's like, we can bring this baby home and I'm not going to say insulting things to you?
He
Okay.
was cool about that
Once he got on
aspect.
board
So actually, with my
baby
second,
number
I
two.
almost had him at home. So maybe it's because we didn't even have enough time. The ambulance picked
Right.
me up, and I had him 10 minutes after I got to the hospital.
Wow.
So literally,
you fish
yeah.
it,
That is not
Yeah.
my life.
wrapping it up.
I'm very fortunate because
days,
pushing is
actually.
literally the hardest aspect of it. I think physically, like the pushing is like. So
The
luckily,
hardest
they
thing
just
is
kind
not
of came
seeing his
out.
toes. Okay.
Yeah, that was still to this day. Like
They're
it'll haunt
Sir,
me forever.
we need you to change into scrubs.
Yes.
And he's like, but my socks.
But my pregnancy with my second, like he never talked to my belly. He never.
Did he the first time?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He did. He was actually kind of excited for Xavier. 'Cause
Okay.
you remember he dumped that load. He kind of planned this out. It was premeditated. The first one was a
made a
little
deposit.
premeditated. He wanted
It's
to lock
very
this down. You know.
graphic.
Yes. Sorry.
Made a deposit.
We're the not so tender.
That's
podcast.
true. That's true. We're
It's
pretty
not
raw.
the tender
We're a
one.
raw
It's
dog.
not the- he was.
We're not.
He was.
He was raw dog.
Yes. Yes.
So that was intentional.
Yes.
So
So
the
the
second
second
time
time,
he
the
was
second one, total
surprised.
accident.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
He was like,
Okay.
"Give me a brown paper bag. I'm going to hyperventilate." Type deal when he saw the test.
Sure.
Because I think he realized
Well,
how
and
like not cool
how
it is to
old
have.
was your first?
They're 13 months apart.
He was.
Is he Amish?
He was 3 months old.
Yes.
Maria.
I would.
I'm gonna highlight the fact that like if you had a vaginal birth,
Hey,
all natural. Where I'm saying it, Thomas, vaginal birth.
all natural.
I'm good with it.
The viewers will love this.
It's all right.
6 to 8 weeks.
It's 2 months.
That's a month to 2.
3 months.
A month later, you were like, you know what I want to do again?
This again.
They're Irish twins.
Yes.
Almost. That's within 12
Just
months.
shy. Yep. Like 11. Yep. If they're like 11.
How could you be any fucking closer?
You can be 11 months
you
apart.
You can be 10 months apart.
Yeah. If you don't follow the guidelines of
Yeah.
waiting.
Right, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought me and my sister
You
were
had
close. We're like
you
16
had
months apart.
stitches,
Yes. I tore halfway with my first. So
and you were like, "It's fine."
I didn't look down there for like 7 months afterwards. I was so terrified.
Yeah, you're going to have another
Were
baby.
you-
What the fuck do you
May
mean?
I ask you a personal question?
Go for it.
Were
No
you,
shame.
Were you nursing?
So unfortunately,
Not everybody can. Not everybody
I
wants to.
did
Right,
not
sure.
produce enough milk.
Okay.
I didn't even get engorged or anything when I stopped. So I supplemented for a few weeks.
Okay.
I commend women all day long that can. It is
Sure.
literally the hardest thing to do, period.
It's
I don't know. You
It's
mentioned some
very
pretty
difficult.
fucking hard things a few
It's-
minutes ago.
No, that
seem a little
is
harder.
very.
But I feel the need to
breastfeeding.
say on the air, the common misconception is that if you're nursing, you're not ovulating. That is not true.
Yeah, that is a
That is
common
not true.
misconception.
So that's what I would like.
Yo,
was
that's
it an
fair
accident?
question. Fair
was
question.
it like
It was
not intentional?
no, not in, but kind of an accident. Kind of
You're
just
like
being
thir-
dumb.
Nope. Nope.
Here's my
to be
green
fair.
light, and 3 weeks later, you're like, yes, dump another
Go
load.
again. He has a problem with the dumping of the loads. I don't know what
guy.
it is.
He's reckless.
Not of the toes.
Reckless.
He's not dumping the toes at
No,
all.
never the toes. No toe. No toe
So
business.
he just locked you down even more.
Locked it down even more
On accident.
on accident.
No, not accident.
Not accident.
I mean,
And
he's 30.
he's at this point. So when we gave birth to Xavier, he was 27.
Right.
So he's like 28, 29 at this
Yeah,
point. Yeah, he's
like,
30.
Not on accident.
Not
Like,
on accident.
Maybe
Right.
not intentional,
As
but
a
you're
man
also
who's
not
been
ignorant.
sexually active since he was a teenager and been engaged before and had, serious relationships.
He needed to get a serious
Do you still work
relationship with
together
those
at this
toes.
point?
No, I quit as soon as I found out I was pregnant.
Okay.
So
You're like, this
we
is
at
my
least
bow
don't
out.
work
Okay.
together anymore.
All right.
And that was another aspect of it is like I couldn't financially support myself, and I was unhappy and ready to leave that relationship for about a year before it ended.
But you didn't even have like time, like postpartum.
I didn't have time to experience life as
That's
an
what I'm
adult
saying. You have
at
a
all
brand new
before I
baby.
became a
You have
mother.
another baby.
Yes. I had
Like-
custody of my brother. Then I got pregnant.
So
Then
all 5 of you are
What?
living together.
No. My brother went to stay in like a residential type
Because of his
facility
behavioral
when I
issues.
was
Okay.
pregnant with my
Oh,
first
okay.
because of his
Okay.
behavioral issues.
Well, you said he
Yes.
had a break.
Yes,
So
he had a break.
He went.
Yes.
Okay.
So he went because
Okay.
I was
Okay.
completely unprepared
All right.
to handle that. My younger sister actually chose not to come live with me. When her mental illness kicks in, she gets very untrusting of our biological family.
Yeah, sure.
And so she aged
Paranoid,
out
delusional.
of a
Yeah, right.
residential, which they actually would stick her in for like a year to a year and a half at a time. So she spent from the ages of 13 to 18 pretty much institutionalized, which is a big part of like her issues as an adult
Right.
and all that. But
Yeah.
so it was just me and him. We got a triplex together, and he would work. He worked 65 hours a week,
Yeah.
and he'd come
You
home,
gotta
and
buy
he
a
was
lot
a
of
gamer.
socks.
A lot of socks, and there was like no
Fancy footwear for swimming,
Toe
and
socks.
showering.
special toe socks. He
So if you walk in,
manscaped, which was a whole
I feel like let's have a show
thing
about
on
Manscaped.
that.
Thomas.
Let's fast forward those some years. The satisfaction I got, right? So he manscapes. He would take longer to get ready than me because he's very particular. He likes to line his beard up just right.
Sure.
He put a hairbrush through the wall once because he like messed it up. Like he has anger issues as well. So my kids they're about 5 and 6, 4 and 5.
so you've been hanging out. You stayed.
Years.
No. This is we're gonna fast forward.
Oh,
just to
thought you were still with
satisfaction.
him.
No, we split up right before my kids turned 1 and 2. So we were only
Thank
together
your
for
brother.
2.5
I mean,
years.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, 1 and 2. Right before they turned 1 and 2, we split up. It'll be 10 years this Christmas, and I've been single. Like officially, actually, so I've had not been in a committed relationship since then. Yes, a couple situationships or whatever, but nothing legitimate since then. Traumatized me.
No shit.
Literally, he was controlling. Like I wasn't allowed to have friends. He would get upset if I spent too long at the grocery store, or spent too long at my family's house. Then he wouldn't help me carry the groceries in. He would like stay home with the kids, and then like
We don't want to fuck
I'd
up his
carry
hair.
it all in. Oh, obviously not.
Does
you
Wendy?
know. And he was the buckle jean guy back then. And
Well,
I know,
I
total.
mean,
I
like-
know. Thinking back, it's like Maria, what were you?
He was
thinking?
fancy.
He was so fancy. Yes, I
He's a
thought I was
gamer,
doing big
too?
stuff. Yes, Diablo and
Oh, yeah.
Skyrim and
Yeah, she's got a
right.
So we dated the same man. That's what I hear because my ex-husband was that same guy.
His name was Brandon. Shut the fuck up.
You guys doubling down? Like doubling down? Like,
Maybe we have
So
to,
weird
like,
though. So strange.
wow.
It feels icky. It feels icky.
Jesus. So listen. So what have we learned? What have we learned?
Stay away from men.
White guys
who write
named
you
Brandon
poems,
with buckles.
No.
who
shit.
manscape, because
When you say manscape, at what degree?
arms,
Oh,
chest, back,
was he just really
balls,
hairy?
armpits.
Armpits.
Super
That's
hairy?
right.
Legs.
Did he hate hair?
He.
You think he just had
he's
really
very
hairy feet?
self-conscious. Like, I mean, he had
He also shaved his feet for sure.
probably,
The bottoms
even though
of
no
them.
one was ever going to see them but him. He probably did.
Maybe he took
For
all the
sure.
hair off his body and put them on his
One
feet because
time he
they're
shaved his
cold.
eyebrows off. We weren't together when that happened.
Look, I can see Mike and Justin over there, and they're like this. What the fuck?
Jay.
What the fuck?
A week
like, I don't
before
get
his
it.
wedding, because he's married. So he got with
No,
a
he's
woman.
not.
He is. He got with a
course
woman
he
6
is.
months after we split up. They've been
That's-
together the whole time.
Ever since.
Ever since. Ever.
Congrats.
They've
Is
been
she
together.
cool? just reasonable. Just let's
She
be nice.
was.
Yeah.
And we tried. I've actually been trying to co-parent with them for years.
Yeah.
Because that's ideally, dude, there's
100%.
no need for it not to. Like, I've never double back. You know what I mean? On him. Like, I was done and done. And I think there's just a lot of insecurities within their own relationship.
Yeah, not
to
your
where
shit,
they,
yeah.
and that's literally like, I brought my
Not your
kids
shit.
to his job once. He worked at the mall all the time. It was his day. I think I'm doing something good. You don't have to drive to pick him up.
Right.
They wanted to come see you at work, so we popped in, and then I took him to the food court, fed him dinner.
Normal
we waited
shit.
till he got off. Right? Normal shit. We get out to the parking lot. He puts the kids in the car, and he's like, "You can never do that again. You can never come into my job again." And I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?"
Did he work at Buckle?
He actually went back to work at the place we met. So years later, full circle
telling
here.
me
Full
it's-
circle.
He works at Gold
Finish
Toe.
line,
He
which
works
is not
at
around anymore.
He works at
So-
Gold Toe sock company.
He worked at a shoe company. He worked at a first shoe store. That's why he got all the toe shoes and the socks.
Okay,
He got it
hold
all
on.
on discount. It all makes sense
Okay,
now.
so I have to mention our phone number. So listen, if you have a person that shaves his eyebrows off and is fucking never shows his feet, or if you dated someone who won't show you something on their body, I'm curious. Please call.
I can't be the only one that's
234-200-5949. Apparently, this is a
Maria
thing.
needs validation, y'all.
All right.
Normally, I don't look for that, but
So
it would be
For
nice.
toes?
Yeah.
So-
for
For validation.
Now I inspect every man's feet before I sleep with him.
like
I need
before,
to see
I have-
head to
You're
toe.
like,
hey, do you-
I need to
I
make
need to
sure
see
you're not.
exactly what I'm working with here.
you're like, you want a dick pic? Like, no, I want to see them
No,
toes.
no, actually,
I
I just
actually
crack them
need to
for
make
me.
it
Crack
Yeah.
your toes. I want to see you arch your foot, do some shit. So I have to ask a question too.
Yes.
So married? Were you married?
No.
Didn't marry?
No.
Okay.
no.
So, did you dating a white guy? Was that a strenuous thing as well? Like culturally?
So it didn't become an issue until after because of our children.
Yeah.
So my oldest, he could pass. He looks like he has something in him. But our youngest, who he didn't bond with properly because our youngest was colic.
Right.
So like it was the one I could
I had a
never let
niece
him
like
stay
that.
up
She
all
was
night
so-
with him.
it
Yeah,
was
because
like,
he was super
I love her
aggressive
now,
and stressed.
but as
It's
a baby?
horrible. And back then I wasn't into the holistic stuff, so I didn't know, you know what I mean, the different
Yeah. What to
alternatives
do,
I could have
right,
done to
yeah.
help him. I didn't even know that he
Little
was in
amber
pain.
necklace.
Yes. Well, not for
So
that.
which
That's a
formula
different.
do I need?
Right,
Sorry.
right. What do I need to do here?
Gas drops.
Right,
Sounds
right.
great. Right.
Massage, whatever. So he didn't bond with him properly. And my youngest is actually darker than me. We have very strong genes in my
Oh,
family.
shit.
Yes. And for instance, the first birthday after him and I split up, so Xavier was turning 3. Oh, why do I keep? We can edit that. Can we edit? My son was turning 3.
Right.
And my other son was turning 2. Their birthdays are a month apart. So our firstborn's birthday comes first, and he texts my phone, and he's like, "Happy birthday, my son. I didn't know what love was until I met you." Like this cute little paragraph for me to read to him for his birthday, right? Totally
kind.
normal. Yeah. So next month for our secondborn's birthday, he's turning 2, and he texts my phone, and all he said was, "Happy birthday, brown kid." Period.
I don't get real angry very often. I really don't.
Get him, Thomas.
I really don't.
Yes.
I'm gonna. I don't
know.
understand how you like. I have 3 daughters. I have 2 grandsons. I'm gonna tell you right now. There are people that don't deserve to have children. There are people that don't deserve to breathe. And I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve to breathe, but I'm gonna say this right now. He was a child once, and if his father spoke to him that way, that could never not hurt. And you can't unfuck that. You can't undo that. And that kind of damage will, like, luckily he was young enough that unless you tell him or he watches this fucking podcast,
Right.
unfortunately.
It'll be fine.
But I'm saying, like, that's some shit that you can't unfucking do.
It broke my
can't
heart
unhear
for
that,
my
right, yeah.
kids, you know, because in
and
that
not just
moment I'm
that,
like, oh my gosh.
Like,
Well, that close together and the comparison.
Holy
Right, like you
shit.
know what you
Oh.
just sent me last month, right? For your
Right.
other child, like literally 30 days ago. Like you didn't even say I love you to you know what I mean? Like literally happy birthday, brown kid, period. When I tell you my family,
That's insane.
yeah, he came over. He's like, "Why is your sister looking at me like that, dude? Because she wants to strangle
Everyone
you
wants to
right
murder
now."
you.
Yes, like you're
Everyone
lucky
wants to
she's
murder
not.
you.
Literally, it's only because of me. Like I am the only thing barely holding
Like,
this
why
woman
would you
back
think
right
that
now.
shit's like okay?
At all. He was like, "Oh, it's just a joke. That's
Does
what
he
I
have
call
fucking
it."
Tourette's?
That's what I call him.
Sweet Jesus.
That's how we joke around. Yeah. Like he, to this day, sees, because there's
What?
been reoccurring things where it's like Isaac is vocalizing that he gets treated a little different.
Sure.
He can see, my kids are very emotionally intelligent for their age.
Well-
Always have been, you know? So why is this? It was to
These
the
two things are not the same.
Right. It was to the point, I remember once, Isaac, I think he was like 6. He was so scared, and this is because their dad has been letting them watch horror films since they were like 4. Like, my kids have seen Saw. I mean, literally at like 6 and 7 years old. Like, you know, so they were a little traumatized, and I've been trying to tell them, like, dude, they really can't handle this stuff. But
They
I
don't
can't
know
control.
how to process
no,
or
not at
categorize
all.
that. Right, yeah.
And he let them watch The Ring, and they had a TV in their room, and they didn't have a nightlight, no lights or anything, and they're afraid of their dad. So like, if something bothers them, they don't feel comfortable expressing that and communicating
we still
that
don't.
to
I don't
him.
either.
Right.
I don't either. So, and I'm a grown ass.
It's
man.
understandable.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
because
normal.
of that, the way he expressed that was like, he literally, like, you would have thought that his father was like an axe murderer. Like, he did not want to go with him at all for like 2 visits in a row. Like, once it was my mom, he was going to retrieve them for my mom, and my mom was like, "No, I'm not sending him with you. I don't know what this is that's going on right now, but like,
this doesn't feel
we're
good.
cool."
Right, yeah.
No. So then I witnessed it myself the next go around for pickup, and he takes his phone out and starts recording it. I mean, my baby is, screaming,
And his first
crying,
reaction
is to
is
take the phone out.
like World Star.
And he was angry with Isaac for not wanting. He was like, "If you don't come with me, I'm never going to forgive you for this. I'm never going to forget this." This is what he's telling his 6-year-old in front of my mom the first time. And the second time he's taking his phone out, he's like, "I can't believe you're acting like this." And I was like, "What
I'm
are
going
you
to the mall and
doing?"
looking for the most well-groomed, nice socked having motherfucker.
So he's like, "Just give him to me. He'll be fine." I said, "Brandon, I don't care who you are. I would never send my child with anyone that they did not want to go to this extent. They didn't want to go to, period. But like, do you see him right now? Like, he is traumatized.
He's
There is something happening
hysterical.
when he's
Right.
at your home.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, you need to figure it out.
Oh, shit.
Because until you do, and I mean, I had to get his parents involved. His parents are great. I don't know how he
Shit
turned out the
happens,
way.
man.
And you know, his mother is even like, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's not
like
how
literally,
We
like, I don't
tried
understand.
hard.
Yeah, we tried our
We
best.
tried
I
real
really
hard,
apologize,
and-
and he doesn't listen to me either. So like, I'm at a loss. But she told me, she's like, "Look, you need to fix this," and he was terrified. You know, he's sleeping in a pitch dark room, and he's got all these images going through his mind, and he's a more sensitive kid anyways, which is something that his father, he's one of those don't cry, you know,
Right.
types.
up.
Yes. And my baby is very,
So,
very
so he's
sensitive.
hitting all that guy's triggers.
Yes. And so it's going to be
Jesus.
a whole thing.
Well,
And,
hopefully
yeah.
something happens that enlightens him that he understands it one day.
Well, him and his wife had a child, and that didn't seem to help.
Is he brown?
Were you so hopeful?
No, she's not.
No,
No, I
she's
knew that was
really-
going to be. I knew that was. I felt bad for his wife. Actually, I was like, "Oh, baby girl, you don't understand, but you will. You're about to find
know what
out who
would've been
you
funny?
married."
Did he marry a white girl?
He did.
Do you know what would have been so funny? If that
What's
baby
that?
would have came out brown.
That would have been hysterical.
That would have been the best fucking
It really
like,
would have.
ever.
It
I would have
really
been like,
have. It might even been better than him shaving his eyebrows a week before his wedding.
on
Maybe.
accident.
No, on purpose.
Did
Does
he
he
pencil?
have-
He penciled them
manscapes.
in.
He did for the wedding, but not for like going to work and stuff. He,
I feel like this is not fair to him that he can't defend himself. at
We
this
don't
point.
know him.
Yeah.
We don't. You've
That's-
done well.
It could
Yes,
be
we
a
don't
yes,
character.
know
It
him.
could be a
yes, yeah,
character.
sure.
Okay.
Do you know how many white men in their 30s are named Brandon?
Not enough.
Too
Not
many.
enough.
Plenty.
yeah, a lot.
Brandon.
So yeah,
I'm sure he's
interesting
nice.
fella.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I got a question. So I don't mean to
Oh, yeah,
interrupt your
yeah.
fucking riveting story about Brandon.
Right.
I have to put my
Eyebrows.
glasses on because I can't. That's not funny. Okay, I have to see. All right. So we got a text message that we're going to talk about.
All
so.
right.
Okay. Would you be willing to talk about how to deal with toxic parents who still want to be part of your life on your podcast? Yes, we will talk about it.
I would be willing.
I don't really have, really toxic parents, so I don't, but I talk to a lot of people who do, and I have a hunch there might be somebody here today that might have experienced that. Of course your parents are toxic people, and if you don't want them in your life, and they want to be in your life, of course they want to be in your life because they're your parents, and nobody wants to be a sore loser, right?
I have such strong feelings on this.
So toxic parents, I'm sure, I can't really, I know about it, but the word toxic, we're going to ask a trained professional to define the word toxic because people use this fucking word
That's true.
all the time.
That's true.
All the time. So I want a real definition of toxic because it's loosely used kind of abundantly. So let's hear it.
Sure. So we talk in session a lot about toxicity in the category of stress, right? So there's healthy stress and there's toxic stress. Stress is an okay thing. When you are getting ready to take a test, you should be nervous. Normal, healthy stress is a motivator to do better.
Okay.
Toxic stress or a toxic relationship is when it starts to give you psychosomatic symptoms.
You got to tell people what that is.
Body
Sorry.
feels, right? Body feels. Your stomach hurts. You get shaky. You have a headache. You're nauseous. You have diarrhea.
Yeah.
Because it is so toxic through your whole body that it is affecting you physically.
Gotcha.
You can't sleep. Your appetite changes. So a relationship works very similarly to healthy stress and toxic stress. There are normal ups and downs, right?
But that's not toxic.
We're humans.
Right.
Human interaction is difficult.
I just like defining these things because so many people use
right.
these terms.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then it becomes that's their weapon.
Well,
They
people
pull that
are
switchblade out
allowed- right,
toxic,
no. Yeah, right.
narcissist,
No.
gaslighting.
Absolutely.
Right. Not
Right.
Bipolar.
Not
Right.
everything is that.
Them being an asshole doesn't make them a narcissist.
Right.
They're allowed to not like you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's fair. I mean,
They're allowed to ghost you.
yeah.
They
Don't have to give you an
don't
explanation.
have. They don't have to.
Don't have to.
They don't owe you
They don't.
anything.
It's so weird hearing this.
But it's true.
true.
It's true. So many people, and I will say women specifically here that they are often eager to put a diagnosis on it, not a label. Like an asshole, that's a label. A narcissist, that's
have
a
to go to
diagnosis.
school a long time.
You have to go.
Yeah.
You have to go to
Yeah.
school a long time.
I tell
be
people
able
that all the
to-
time.
To be able
Yeah,
to say
identify
that,
that,
and
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
if he is only not, if he's only an asshole to you, that doesn't make him a narcissist.
Really?
Yes.
I don't.
Any
you know,
any mental health diagnosis has to be implemented in every aspect of their life, at work, at school.
I've only
with
been
their
called it.
family.
I don't
You
usually
can't turn
call
it
it
on and
calling.
off
You
like a
can't-
water
right.
spigot.
You can't turn it on and off, just like children. ADHD. If they can't pay attention at school, but they're fine at home, they don't have ADHD.
Right.
It's across the board.
That's a
Right.
teaching issue.
Okay, so
for
if
here-
your parents are being toxic, what does that mean?
Oh, I talk about this all the
Roughly,
time.
I know this is hard to
I'm
wrap
going
up.
to give my clinical view.
That's why you're here.
And that's it. I'll try to keep it as short as I can. And then Maria, you can
Clinical
kind of give your
appellation.
So right. So I feel like society tells us that unconditional love is supposed to flow up, child to parent. I'm supposed to love you no matter what. I'm supposed to take care of you when you get old. I'm supposed to call you. I'm supposed to bring your grandchildren to you.
So you made
I'm
a
supposed
slave.
You birthed me. I'm going to unconditionally support you as you, regardless, as you ignore me, as you badger me, as you guilt me, as you that's shit. That's trash.
It's hard.
That's trash.
It's a hard job to have.
Unconditional love in a family is supposed to flow down parent to child.
Get out of here.
In an ideal world, And it
I mean,
doesn't always.
I can honestly say that my
It
mom
doesn't
definitely
always.
unconditionally
Right,
loves me.
like-
You know what I mean? I'm very blessed.
And I mean, it makes me a little cringy to say this because so many people don't have this experience that your parents are supposed to love you unconditionally, and it's so sad.
yeah, when you say it out loud, a lot of people are going to be like this.
Oh, they're gonna be like, my parents don't love me unconditionally. I did this or I like. So
yeah, but being disappointed in you doesn't mean they don't love you.
correct. And
When they
having
walk in
boundaries
after you have
does
a
not mean
baby
they don't
and
love
say they
you.
don't love you.
Sure,
Boundaries
sure.
are-
What you talk like enabling? There's a difference between unconditional love and enabling.
Yes.
Right.
So there's a lot of layers to this, but I feel like toxic parents and our generation, maybe I feel like is the first one to kind of be like,
No.
I don't feel like I need to answer my
I think I know
phone.
why
don't feel
too.
like-
But I think I know
Oh,
why.
yes, please tell me.
So I think I know why the shift where we don't need our parents like our parents needed their parents.
Mm-hmm.
We don't rely on them for daycare because our parents are working longer and they're not at home. Like
Oh,
our
that's true.
grandmothers
Yeah.
were
Sure.
home.
Okay.
For sure.
So you had to eat your mom's shit because she watched your babies.
Right.
If your mom ain't watching your babies and you're like, no, bitch, I ain't coming over.
Right.
It changes the
Right.
dynamic. That's what
ooh, that's true.
is that.
That's
Yeah.
super valid.
Yeah.
Look at
I
me.
feel like right.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Right.
Clinical.
Well, we talked about, I
Appellation.
feel, last week or maybe the week before about working women, right?
Yeah.
That, like, we are expected to manage the home, raise the children, and work.
Why?
As-
Why wouldn't you?
Obviously, we have multiple.
We're
We wear
superpowers.
so many hats.
Tend after
Yeah.
those
All the
brown
hats.
I
children.
love it. We
It's our
all
favorite
these
thing to
brown
do.
babies. Right.
Yeah.
We don't ever get tired.
Why would you?
Never.
We don't
Until
nap.
You're powered by
Get
hate. I don't
to
know
lay
how
down.
you would
We
ever be tired.
We can sleep when we die.
Yeah.
But
Basically.
this comment about toxic parents, I am a strong believer, and I work with adolescents, right?
Yeah.
And young adults. They're my favorite. They're my bread and butter because I'm like, you are working with the hand you were dealt, and you can change it.
Yeah.
Adults are a little bit of a struggle for me,
So
to be honest.
can
But
I ask a question? Because what I'm noticing with a lot of people is they just build these hardcore boundaries, and they're like, because you're taught, like you watch a reel or you watch a TikTok, and you're like, hey, you know, if somebody's not serving you in your life, you need to just cut them out. You need to cut them out. You need to build a barrier, and you can't. And I had a young man talking about that. And I said, he's like, I won't have anybody in my life that isn't supporting me or any. I said, listen, if you build so many fences up, dude, nobody's going to know how to get in when you need help.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Some people still got to have the
Yeah.
code.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have a ladder,
Yes.
So
you know, to get in.
I actually heard a really cool analogy on TikTok the other day
Yeah.
that plays into that, where he was talking about how certain relationships just need to be repotted, and we need
That's a
to
good way to put it.
rearrange where these individuals' placements are as far as importance
Yeah.
and power in our lives. They don't necessarily need to be completely removed, but we just need to recognize that maybe they shouldn't hold this position that they may not necessarily deserve to hold.
Or it's just not
Or,
feasible.
You know,
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not working,
Sure.
and so they can still be around,
Right. Yeah.
but just understand that that's who that
Right.
person is. Don't take it personal, because
Right.
nothing at the end of the day really has anything to do
Right.
with the person they're directing any of it at. Anyways, it's all internal for the most part. I
A
would
lot of
say,
it.
like a lot of it. Yeah, I don't. I could be
So-
wrong about
No,
that.
I
but
talk to clients a lot. I use a bullseye
yeah,
diagram
Yeah.
that I'm like, if you're in the middle, give me, realistically, 3 to 4 people that should be in like your inner circle.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
talking to teenagers and young
Yeah.
adults, I'm like,
yeah,
Dude,
3
grown
to
ass
5.
grown ass
Like,
adults.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Grown
Yeah.
ass adults
Yeah.
are like, my friends. I go, they're not your fucking friends.
right.
Oh my gosh. Unconditional
Yes.
love. And then we talk about like the next circle.
Yes.
That it's like it is a beneficial relationship to you and there's some give and take. And then there's like the next one that like ideally you would
Acquaintance.
improve this relationship. Acquaintances are actually the 4th one.
Really?
But yeah.
Wow.
So middle circle is like unconditional support.
Your people.
Yes.
Yeah, your person,
Ride or die.
Yeah,
That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
you might have 3.
Yeah.
Next circle
I'm
is
real
like
lucky.
beneficial people for you, but there's some give and take, right?
Yeah.
And then the next circle is like, I would like to improve this relationship because I feel like it could be beneficial, but there's some trust issues.
So we do it like this:
Mm-hmm.
guitar players, bass players, drummers. Drummers are on that further outside circle. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
Same thing.
yeah. Yep.
So like it often I have to help older adolescents or young adults be okay with saying my parents are in like that third circle.
Oof.
That they're like, would I like to improve that relationship? Yes. Like, I mean, more than anything, but they're not my people.
I had a
I
client
do not
today.
feel safe. It is not unconditional. It is contingent and iffy at best.
Oof. So a client I had today, really wonderful man, first time I ever tattooed him. And he was talking, and he's a leader. He's a leader at his work. He has 2 beautiful children. He has a 25-year relationship with his wife. Seems just wonder, you know what I mean? Like, took a call while I was there, and he was so kind, and it was nice, you know? And we were talking about trust, and I said, you know, as a manager and as a parent, because a parent, you're basically a manager. That's all you are. I wish we'd look at it more
Managing
like that.
tiny humans.
Well, I mean, but seriously,
Yeah,
if you treated
yeah.
it more like being a
Yes,
manager,
yes.
you'd probably do better other than getting girls pregnant that work for you. Don't do that.
Felt like
so-
a jab. Poor Brandon.
Sorry, Brandon.
Getting
We're not
drugged
editing
through
out
the
your
mud.
name. Puss off. I don't care. Fuck off. So, I don't even call him Brandon. I call him Dad of the Brown Kid. That's what I call him.
In your, I mean,
Sorry.
that's a fitting.
So, but he was talking,
Papa.
and we were talking about trust, and you know, not losing people's trust or your kids' trust. And he says you lose it in buckets and you get it back in drips. And I was like, "Fuck, I'm stealing that shit."
Yeah, that's deep right
Because
there.
that's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you lose it in buckets and you get it back in drips. And I was like, fuck. So if you have a toxic parent, what would you suggest a first step would be? Because, dude, if they're not communicative or if they're just fuckers, good luck.
Yeah.
And then you're guilted internally. Like, I'm supposed to love them, you know, and I'm supposed to honor them. So what would you say a good start? Is a good, like, worksheet kind of vibe or...
Recently I've been super heavily focused on scaling clinically because I do a lot of like couples work, relational work, family therapy. And I'm like, okay, so if we're taking satisfaction or relational quality, 0 to 10, where do you feel like you are? It doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
you know, I had a couple just yesterday tell me, I think I'm at a 3. Okay. And they're like, I'm sorry. I don't care.
Right.
You're
Hey.
good. We've had the
Hey. That's where you're
3
at.
sounds pretty
Right.
solid.
That's where
you're at a
yeah.
3.
It's better than 0.
What would
-3?
what would a 4 or a 5 look like? Because I feel like we're so focused on the end game that we're like, you didn't answer my phone call. You didn't do that. Like, oh, okay. We're at a 3. You just said so. So a 10 is like inconceivable at this
Right.
point. So let's like
We're far away from. from
we
the 10.
are so far away from like satisfaction, and I feel like so
Yeah.
often we just want a miracle pill or like a light
Quick
switch to
fix.
go off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So I clinically recently have been like, okay, so if we're at a 3, that's fine. What does a 4 or a 5 look like?
How do we get there?
And how do we get there?
Yeah, I
Does
like
that
that.
mean that
I could use that.
right?
Yeah.
You
I like that.
Yeah.
you call how often? You time the phone calls because you know it's going to be toxic. There's no light switch, right? So
Right.
like, but we maybe time them so they could be less conflictual. We like, so just how do we get
what
a
are the
little
steps?
bit? How do we get a little bit closer to where we want to be? And would that make us feel better? And what can we do to look at that?
I like that. So you
Yeah.
could do that with your
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
But having that real conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because I think we knee jerk too much sometimes. Not
Yes.
everybody, obviously. But if you knee jerk, it's going to be hard to like be honest with them. And if you don't feel safe or you don't feel like, because I mean, honestly, dude, to tell your parent that they're doing something wrong, it's not easy for a lot of people.
No.
No.
You know, it's not.
It's not easy for the parent to hear either.
Yeah. And if they're already toxic, I have a
Right.
hunch their communication's not stellar.
Well, you'd be
Not
surprised.
super
Guilt
receptive.
is
Right.
kind of all consuming sometimes as a parent. I think we can all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I think
That's
part
a
of the problem
lot.
is people communicate for validation more so than understanding.
We
too,
hand out a
though,
lot of
you know?
invisible
Yeah.
trophies to people. We do. That's our thing.
Yeah.
We have a
Yeah.
very strong company. It's working in the Middle East and Eastern Asia right now. They're huge. The most amazing, invisible, imaginary trophy company ever. They're the only sponsor
first
of the show.
$1 billion imaginary trophy.
They're the only sponsor of our show. So if you want to call and buy one of these,
Yes.
imaginary trophy you would like for whatever bullshit you're trying to be right about. And we'll get you one sent right to your fucking house. Mike will hand deliver it because Mike's not sick anymore, so he can do that. And
He's
it's
so
amazing. He is. He's retired now, so he's got
You
time.
can do whatever.
Well, or if you have a question.
If you have a question,
Write in.
Just
Yeah.
text.
We'll answer
your
That's the
question.
easiest thing to do
Yeah.
is just text us and we'll get it in there.
We'll address it.
So we're gonna wrap up here in a little bit. I appreciate your time, but we just barely scratched the surface of your shit. But I will say this: I'm gonna assume
true.
you're doing well now.
I am actually doing the best I ever have in my entire life right
Thriving.
now.
Pretty good.
Yes. I'm working at a job that I absolutely love. I went back to school this
Nice.
year, and it feels like I'm finally working towards goals that I've had my entire life, and I feel like
There you go.
I'm where
You got a little
I
speed
should
bump
be.
or
Yeah,
two.
That's
more
'cause
than
you're-
yeah. That's
'cause
the
you're in your
understatement.
30s.
Right? Yes, and it was because going into it was so reflective. You know, I'm looking
You got a
back
lot
and I'm
going
like,
on. You're juggling a lot of
oh my
things.
gosh, well, I was doing this. I was carrying on like this.
Look at me
all these
crushing
years
it and
Like,
drowning.
Why was I doing this? You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really awesome, and I'm honestly like really excited to see where life takes me next.
So
yeah, it's a good feeling.
suggestions to young moms.
Suggestions to young moms is to give yourself grace, to understand that it is totally normal to go through a bout of depression. I feel like identity crisis is something that is like, especially if you're young, it's really hard to mesh together who you were as an individual and a mother, and like what's okay to carry over, what does that look like.
How does it blend?
Yes. And there's science behind it. Like your brain goes through this whole process of taking information out so that more information can be put back in. And it's a big deal. And I would say, like just you are doing the best that you can if you're even questioning whether or not you're doing a good
you're
job.
already
If you're
trying to
stopping to ask
adjust.
yourself whether or not you're doing this
Right.
okay, that's
not
like half
easy.
the battle. It is the most difficult thing a person will ever attempt to do, even halfway decent. It
Yeah.
is,
Even when you're killing it.
yeah, and it's a both and. It is the best and the worst thing that will ever happen to you. I tell people that all the time. Like,
is.
all
They
wrapped
talked about
into
that.
one shiny package. Like,
Yeah.
it is absolutely brutal. It tests you and triggers you in ways that you never thought imaginable. You will repeat some of the mistakes that your parents made, and you will absolutely kick yourself
Yeah.
months or years afterwards and realize
Was
that
my
you
mom
did.
that came out of my
Right?
mouth?
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Right.
I would say to just, and also keep in mind that your children are their own tiny little individual humans with
Yeah,
all
their
of
own
the
entity.
emotions and feelings that you also have and have a very hard time navigating and expressing. And definitely extend that grace to them. And just be very open and communicate with your children, and, you know, balance
Within
balance
reason.
in everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
within reason. But you want to have that trust, especially the society that they're growing up in right now
hard.
is absolutely brutal. And
It
so
is.
to keep that communication open so that they are coming to you with their questions instead of the internet.
Yeah, older people, they don't understand young people as much, and young people don't understand older
Yeah,
people, obviously.
yeah.
And I hear it
So-
all the time, and I'm just like, dude, they have a lot of stress. What do they have stressed
Right,
out about?
right.
I'm like, everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything.
Everything.
The entire
Everything.
world.
And their
is on
future.
Their
A-
palm.
and
Right,
that's, you know, and I'm a future thinker for the most
Yeah.
part.
Not me.
Which it can be hard because I do immerse myself in what's going on politically.
Yeah,
And
it's scary.
and it is. And I've
Well, you have a
realized
lot more
recently
than
that I
me.
can't info dump because it's to the point now where like I'm literally giving people anxiety by like talking to
You
them about
can't.
issues.
You can't do it.
And so I used to be that overzealous person in my 20s where I would like shove this in your face whether you want to hear it or not.
We
and I
love
liked
people
making
like
people
that.
uncomfortable. I have
Nobody
tempered
loves people
myself.
like
No
this.
one. I recognize that, and I have
Yeah.
some
You're like,
people I
"Oh,
should
I'm
probably go
making
back
you
and apologize to. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
need to do that.
It's hard,
I
man.
don't do that
I'm
anymore.
passionate. Our interests are not the same.
Yes, I try.
Yes.
I try not to.
Like, we're just
'cause
trying
it's
to have
heavy.
some guacamole.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
just calm
dude.
the fuck
Can
down?
you just chill out?
Like, we're at
please?
Chipotle. Could you shut the fuck
I'm
up?
like, the sky is falling. The sky is falling.
You're like, if it's that bad, why are we at Chipotle? Like, shouldn't we be in a bomb shelter right now
I
or
mean,
something?
maybe.
She's like, well, I did read this
No.
one article.
Right.
So
you know.
I got to finish with one thing I came up with. I was talking today. I think it was yesterday actually, and I was talking to a client. We're talking about relationships and all the work we do, and like I said, I feel like we're like a relationship is being at Chuck E. Cheese. Like you bust your ass to get all these fucking tickets, and you do everything right, and you just walk around with all these fucking tickets, and you think you're doing God's work, man. You have all these fucking tickets, and you're just killing it. And you're just like, man, look at me. I'm going to get something really cool. And then you walk up and you're like, wah, wah, wah.
This is my
jelly
selection.
hands and, like,
Fucking garbage.
smash.
Yeah.
And then it gets covered in
a
furs.
fucking kazoo that doesn't even work. Like, you don't know how to play a
parachute
kazoo.
guy
Yeah.
that you can,
Yeah.
It gets all tangled up.
That's how
for
I
one use.
feel.
That's a great analogy.
That's
I
what
love that.
relationships are
Tethered.
right now.
I'm using that from now on.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Chuck E. Cheese.
Perfect.
It's
Yes.
fucking. But
I
you know
will
what?
not cash in my tickets.
No.
I will save them until
I will
the
just go
next
over with
trip.
cash and buy the good shit. I don't even, but you know what though? Just like relationships, you can still get good pizza. So
You know?
yeah, pizza makes it all better.
true. That's
So
true. That's
I want
true.
everybody to be kinder to everybody. This is episode 5. We're gonna keep doing this. But when you go onto YouTube, please subscribe and hit the like button. I gotta keep saying that, and
Share.
I really share the shit out of it.
Yeah.
If it helped you at all, please check it out. You can email us at Justin's in my ear right now, and he sounds like God.
It scared me a little
It did.
bit. Forgot that was, yeah.
So you can check us out at notsotenderpodcast@gmail.com, and I'm sure he'll have some graphics up for that eventually too. And you can call the number. You won't call. You'll text. I know you won't call. People don't call anymore. But text us questions
love
and
to get a
comments.
voicemail.
Yeah, voicemails
I
would be
really
funny because we would
I
play that shit.
Love to just play.
We will play it. We will
Don't
definitely
say your
play it.
name.
That would
Don't
be
say.
great.
Just say.
Just say.
Just
what
So
I think it is.
234-200-5949, and we will play that shit.
I want
Just-
an audio.
Yeah.
I really do.
So just remember, stay away from managers that don't show you their fucking feet. And I'm sure he's growing. Listen,
To be fair, we drug him.
he's growing, right?
We drug him.
He's got to be growing. Let's hope he grows. I will.
I would really like, for the sake of my children,
Yes.
For everybody's
for
children.
the sake of
All of his
all of
children.
his children,
Listen,
right? Because he has stepchildren too.
For,
yeah, for, all
for
his
anybody
children.
wanting to buy tennis shoes, I don't want to deal with that guy.
But he's not there anymore.
Damn it.
I know.
But anyways, I hope he does well. I really do. And honestly, in my heart, I hope he does
Yes,
better.
I
because-
do too.
Well, I
yeah.
know you want the
No.
best for everybody.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. But I will not be anyone's punching bag anymore.
No.
So,
And you were young.
and I was.
You know.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, just be nicer to people.
Just be kind. Don't shave your eyebrows.
Or shave them.
Or yes, but if you do, make sure that you have some hair on your head because then
Nah.
it looks really weird if you
No,
don't. Trust
it's-
me.
dude, I
what's
like it.
called? Alopecia.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
straight
sure.
back. The whole forehead just kept going and going and going.
That guy has a
Bad
weird
day. I mean, it's like neck to cheek to eyebrow to head. What the hell?
He has a serious weird relationship with hair.
He does.
With his
Something
body.
You have
had
a
to
lot of
happen.
hair.
Body.
Yeah, as
Hey.
a child,
Like, we're
something.
You
there
have a
has
lot
to
of
be
hair.
there.
You.
Right. Who pulled the fuck out of your chest hair or something? You know what I mean? Like, did someone just like hold you down and pick your chest hairs off as it?
He was probably that kid at 12 that had like a mustache and everybody made fun of him.
He had like one little curly
Yeah, it's
hair on
weird
the
shit.
upper
Or he
lip.
found an ear.
Well, I hope he
hair that
gets
one
better.
time.
I hope he
Pulled it
finds
out.
whatever.
Bad
And then he was
idea.
like-
Bad.
Everybody be good. We're wrapping this up. Play the outro music of this shit. I can't even deal with this sock shit anymore.
What sucks?
Fuck.
Not-